Hello, nurse.
Some good shit.
Some good shit.
Oh yeah.
The Dick of Damocles reference.
I do like. My name was almost the dildo of Damocles this time.
That would have been pretty good. Everybody knows why it's green, right?
I haven't
Why is it
watched
green?
the actual clip.
That's what got thrown on the WNBA court.
Yeah, I haven't watched the actual clip. I've just heard a lot of people referencing it.
Well, there's been 3 instances now.
Oh, it's like the new thing.
Yeah, the first one was green, and not only that, betting markets started betting on it. So they started saying there will be another dildo thrown on the court, and they started betting what color the next dildo will be thrown on the court. Before August 10th, and those betting markets are higher than the WNBA game betting.
Oh Christ!
Is it what was I gonna say? I already lost it. Oh yeah, is it the new chicken jockey? Like, oh, let's go to a WNBA game, and
it is
in the 38th minute.
The first guy got arrested, but if you can control clankers, we got a stick second hammer guy there.
Yeah, Charles is a clanker.
If you can control the betting market, like they say there's going to be another dildo before August 10th, you show up to the game and throw the dildo out there. Can you bet on that enough to where the arrest, it would offset by a whole lot what you would get charged in the arrest?
Maybe.
Because that's kind of a rare thing. You could bet big on something that you could control.
We need to get somebody to moneyball this shit.
Like, how does it work? Like when they miss their 10th layup of the game, is that when you throw it out?
That would take 3 minutes.
Yeah, I know. You don't want to do it in the first 3 minutes of the
game. Starbase collab for one loves our new AI robotic overlords.
This is the thing about that stuff. Because like the same thing happened with women's soccer, where it's like, if you guys hadn't just burned up what goodwill you had, like, just it's amazing that rather than be grateful that you get to play basketball even though you lose money for the league, because the patriarchy hates women, so they pay you to play basketball even though you can't make any money at it. Like, maybe, just maybe, they could have built it up enough to where like it was actually self-sustainable and they had something, that really worked for women to, aspire to and all that crap. But no, they just had to burn up all the goodwill.
I know. Well, it almost happened with women's soccer when the Americans women's soccer team was like the number 1 in the world. Like, it was almost happening, and then Megan Rapinoe ruined it.
Well, actually, it was even a little before that, because it was, I think, like the 2011 Cup. I don't know, was she playing then? But she didn't ruin it for me then. But in fact, I caused kind of a ruckus because we were watching the final between the United States and Japan in a bar restaurant with a bunch of my friends, and I had stopped rooting for the Americans early on in that tournament because that was the one when Hope Solo got like thrown off the team.
Yeah, because she did all sorts of. She ended up being like a trailer trash person, and I thought she was.
Yeah.
I would have watched for Hope Solo just for how attractive she was at the time,
but also there's that video of her being arrested for DUI with the kids.
She's trailer trash.
Yeah. No, she got charged with throwing her brother down the stairs and stuff.
Yeah.
She's a total trailer. But I mean, she just had a terrible attitude, and the team in general had a shitty attitude. And then on top of that, like they just played like ugly, awful soccer. And so like when Japan won, I got up, everybody was sad, and I was standing up shouting soccer justice, because I had started rooting for the Japanese team early on because like they were playing really good, technical, attractive soccer, and the American team was just bombing to Abby Wambach. It was the most boring thing on earth. And so like I was totally happy that the Japanese won. But like that's the last time I even cared.
That's kind of what happened with the WNBA this year, is that it's really the first time it's been in mainstream. Not like Caitlin Clark is the closest thing to a household name that's ever come out of the WNBA. Like my dad knows about her.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a big deal. and then they had to ruin it by being just bitter assholes. And then she had to also ruin it by wearing one of those stupid ass shirts. Pay us what you owe us. Oh, lady, you come on now.
So nothing? Negative nothing?
Like, well, you now owe us $600,000 a piece.
This is a pretty funny Venn diagram. Recent WNBA trend, any NBA game LeBron plays in, dildo flopping around on the court is what overlaps with both of them. Am I cut out?
No,
you're good.
All right. There's gosh. Mysterious shadow appears above the. I mean, it's like Flip made the Dick of Damocles become real into like the society, man, by talking about it. It's just dangling over everybody's head there now. I just typed. I didn't even know this was here. I just typed in W. See, there it is. I don't know if you can show that on the.
It's like, did they catch the guy and give him a lifetime ban? And okay.
Yeah, he's arrested and all that stuff. I don't know if like a lifetime ban.
And was it just somebody like, like a TikToker trying to?
It's probably a 4chan shit poster, honestly.
You guys looking at the screen,
right? Oh, goddamn.
That's good stuff.
I didn't even know what was coming there, but anyway, oh gosh, there's the police officers at the WNBA. Man, I just typed in WNBA. I didn't know these were. Oh
goddamn.
So everything's nowadays about leaning into the thing that you. I mean, we're not saying what they are. I guess you got to go look at the screen, but I don't know. Just a bunch of green.
Bunch of dildos.
Yeah.
I owe the NBA money.
If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a dildo. Honestly, though, like I feel like the thing, just like anything in the world, the reaction to it is what causes it to become a bigger meme, in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So speaking of that, it's almost kind of like the conservatives over the years have figured that out better, but I don't know for sure. Not. Have you watched the new South Park?
Yeah,
I didn't watch the Charlie Kirk one.
Yeah, that's the one I am referencing. And then just right off the bat with it, because it's kind of making fun of JD Vance. Like one of the very first things that JD Vance does is go, well, I finally made it. There he is.
Yeah, Charlie Kirk did the same thing. I was like, it's probably what you ought to do.
Well, it used to be, I swear, when we were growing up in the 90s, that just the overreaction of the psycho-conservatives was what everybody made fun of. I mean, it almost just seems like the bad reaction is what brings the joking and teasing.
Honestly, that's what they got it out of Trump, though.
Yeah.
Trump was up there talking about how South Park is desperately trying to hold on to relevance. I'm like, no, sorry, but South Park is pretty fucking hopping right now. And that it's, I guess maybe that would be my one defense of their tiny dick Trump joke. I don't like tiny dick jokes because they're just so played out at this point. But also you threw it at the one person who would take the bait at this point.
Yeah. I don't know. The episode though, it's kind of weird, like going after like Kristi Noem and all that stuff. Maybe I'm not attuned enough to like Fox News conservatives or anything like that, but I'm like, I sort of remember when that dog story came out when she was trying to run for president 2 years. Like, is Kristi? Oh, I guess she came out dressed up like with the ice like a little bit ago, so they're commenting on that. But she's just like not very, very relevant. Just not like major in the news. I mean, they brought up the whole thing of her shooting puppies, and so all.
If you'd asked me who was the Secretary of Homeland Security, I wouldn't have been able to tell you.
She shot a ravenous dog. I don't know. When I heard that story, I was like, I don't know anything about Kristi Noem, but God, I don't care about this.
Well, so the whole episode, she just keeps shooting puppies all over it. So they're
that's
making
funny.
a meme out of it. But and then shoots Super Dog. Not to spoil a joke for you, but Then the rest of it was obviously making fun of podcast bros. So like JD Vance, I had to lean into it and call myself Clyde Donovan because the whole thing was that they started talking like, yeah, it's Clyde who's Charlie Kirk, not. I mean, Cartman tries to catch up to him.
I thought it was Cartman who was Charlie Kirk.
It's both. I mean, kind of. Like Cartman becomes Charlie Kirk because he's mad that Clyde has taken over his shtick.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the whole thing's just kind of like cracking on those guys going and debating with college girls. But so much of what they're talking about and debating is the abortion stuff. I'm like, who's been more debating bros abortion stuff too than us? You know what I mean? It's it was South Park coming right at porch time, man. Right out of And
well,
I feel
like I don't know. I had mixed feelings about it because, like, on the one hand, I thought it was funny because, like, you know, I do hate the stupid clickbait titles of "woke liberal student destroyed." Like, yeah, okay, that's stupid. But, like, you know, in the show, like, it's all the stupidest arguments that Cartman makes, where it's like, okay, not to say that there aren't lots of stupid arguments being made out there on the right, but like Charlie Kirk is a lot more solid than that, you know.
Yeah, I just listened to.
He doesn't just quote Leviticus and move on.
Yeah, well, I don't watch a ton of those all the way through, but just recently because I knew it was coming up, I watched like a whole night of it, and he's obviously a guy who sits and studies the researches the debate topics, because if any sort of thing comes up, he wants to quote what the actual executive order is that's out there, or quote the exact thing that happened. So he like studies all the news so he can try to regurgitate it exactly as it happened as best he could. So yeah, one of the things that I'm just talking about is like, you kind of get the sense that South Park is maybe better at this than some of those other people, but they're good at just making you overlook like what they're arguing about or what the issues are. Even some of the cases Cartman makes like the good argument, like that argument of why do you can actually line it up 1-to-1 with Charlie Kirk's argument. I saw people do online, but say, why do you charge a woman if somebody gets if a pregnant woman gets run over? Why do you charge?
Why is it a double homicide?
Yeah. What's wrong with that argument? But now that's dumb to say because Cartman said it, or like is it one of those things like you're going to poison that argument because it's such a good argument, but now Cartman said it? Like, are they able to do that sort of thing?
It's one of the only clips I saw, and I was like, well, did they refute? Because normally Cartman does the dumbest of everything. Yeah,
but is it in a sort of way that like, well, so that's sort of a good argument. It's like an argument you can't even really come back at. Like, whatever, prove me wrong. But now is the prove me wrong is like, oh, you're just doing the Cartman argument. You're doing, oh, you're Cartman. You're Charlie Kirk Cartman. You know, like it's a methodology around it.
Charlie Kirk Cartman made a good argument.
Yeah. The Dragon Desert says, my dad wasn't pleased. I said I liked Charlie Kirk, but then I clarified he's Charlie Kirk. He's good at rewiring dumb Marxist college kids' brains, and he was fine with that. Yeah, Charlie Kirk's it's not, you know, like you march around going like loving Charlie Kirk, but both him and Andrew Wilson will win or beat those kids in those debates, and you kind of go for some of those things that you could find somebody who could beat them in debates, but not in those issues. But their big argument always against Shapiro and all those different people is, why do they go to these colleges where just those kids are and it's so easy to beat them? Like, mother effers, you guys have overrun the colleges. You guys overtook the colleges and made it a political thing. They have to go and show up as a guest speaker to have a night talking to them because you guys own and run and dominate the whole entire thing.
Well, I know, and that's like a Destiny argument all the time. Is he's always saying, "Oh, Charlie Kirk can own a bunch of retarded college libs or whatever." I'm like, okay, yeah, but like they have a heads up, you know. And if I wanted to wait in line and say my piece against some retarded streamer who I think is destroying America, like I'd do my research a little bit. So like these people don't have time to do it. And in Charlie Kirk's defense, like he's always got an answer for him. Like he's pretty well studied.
So there's kind of a united front going on with this right now. Like everything the general Democrats do, like there's talking points and there's united order. And I don't know if the South Park guys are jumping on it. But the whole entire thing. So if you get the point of that episode is saying that you guys are grifters, and Clyde doesn't even really believe that stuff. He's just doing it for money. Like, you're just doing it to get your nut. So a bunch of podcasts came out this week with Bill Burr and Mark Maron, you know, all the big name old podcasters from back in the day, like right when Corolla and Joe Rogan were just getting big. Mark Maron was right there with them, and Bill Burr's. But they're coming out and saying that these guys are doing a grift and they don't like the grift.
If you want to come after Charlie Kirk as grifting in any way, I would say that the only way that he grifts is by hiding the ball whenever anybody brings up homosexuality. Like, I think in his mind, like, he would probably outlaw gay marriage, but like he doesn't really want to talk about it. And that's not even really a grifter thing. That's just hiding the ball. But with most of the things that he talks about, I don't think he's even hiding the ball. I think he's just actually saying what he actually believes.
Yeah, that's exactly the point. To be a grifter, you have to not believe the things that you're saying or have not researched it. I don't know if you guys watched it on Trigonometry kind of recently. This guy in London made like a big long video of like all these grifters, and he called the Trigonometry guys grifters. And then he actually went on the Trigonometry podcast for an hour to defend his position.
That was pathetic.
Yeah,
that was embarrassing.
And by the end of it, he just by asking like, what is a grifter, and pointing out like how grifters and how they get their points, and like they're just doing it for money, he agreed entirely by the end that he was a grifter and had always been a grifter for like the left side. And he said, okay, fine, I'm done with this. That, you know, Constantine just ended it right there. Okay, we're done. You know, and just ended it. And yes, I'm a grifter. But that's the thing that I'm kind of getting here. Like, listen to Mark Maron, like
Jeselnik having an issue with people like Tony Hinchcliffe, who he's saying uses profanity or just shock value comedy. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, at this point,
it's like everything's such projection. Like Jeselnik is complaining that somebody uses shock value comedy.
Yeah, that's like a couple steps below Howard Stern complaining about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Lazy and sloppy and hackneyed. You know, to be in a fucking club where, you know, I'm walking down the hall at the comedy club, at the Comedy Store, and, you know, in one room, someone's doing their bit about trans people, and then I get down the hall and there's someone on stage going, well, I guess I got to do my bit about trans people. Like, no, you don't. You don't. It's hack now. I mean, you know, you guys got the freedom you wanted. You can now say whatever you want. They're defeated. Their rights have been denied. The policies that you guys...
That's
Their
what
rights
happened,
have
Mark.
been denied.
The rights have been denied, and you got the freedom that you wanted, like what they didn't have it, Mark. But at the same time, like Mark Maron, before he started his podcast, had a syndicated, like, political left-wing talking show, syndicated on the radio. You know what I mean? They're such bullshitters. Just the only thing that drives me nuts about the whole entire thing is, like, you guys have been a club of political hacks that you just had the mainstream of everything of it for 30 years. And because some other non-mainstream thing got a little bit popular in the last 2 years, but there's a united front coming out against it right now, just to take, this is really divisive what these grifters are doing. It's, you know, it's, who knows if it'll take, because anytime that you can see like a united front happen, they only ever have like a week or two of energy into it. But
encouraged with your stupid material are now policy, and now, like, you know, half the people under the umbrella of anti-woke, we've lost a tremendous amount of democratic leaning ideas and movements. So whether they knew it or not, that's what they were spearheading. So now it's reality, and you want to still keep kicking them?
I don't know that the comedians have had that much power.
Are you fucking out of your mind?
No, I'm.
Yeah, Joe Rogan. I'm not gonna.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
You know, you can't separate. Like, if the movement is like, you know, we're being censored.
This guy, like, I loved his podcast when he kind of started out just kind of doing comedy at first, just talking about like his errors and why he wasn't successful as a person, and he got really popular for that, just kind of across 2 years, talking about how much he'd failed as a comic and talking to all his friends, and why are you all doing so much better than me? Why am I not a no name? You guys are all no name. I've been there as long as you guys have been there. And he got popular talking about that. As soon as he got popular, all he did is just start interviewing. He interviewed Obama in like 2012. He, you know, just like exactly like Colbert or whatever. All he did was just call in his groups of buddies, interview them for an hour. Very, very boring interviews. You just might as well read their Wikipedia of them. And he just fell off entirely. I went and saw him. I got a picture with him live because I thought his comedy was funny. And when he was, you know, talking, you know, self-denigrating. But it's such absolute bullshit. Like he so much just jumped back into doing left-wing political commentary, and he's just mad that the other side got more popular than him from it. It's
yeah, that's kind of what you're seeing with the. I don't know. It's just like the right wing is pretty inarguably at this point, and very abruptly so, like winning the culture war.
Yeah.
So now the lefties who have been winning it for the last 15, 20 years, 30 years, I don't know, are suddenly on the back foot, and they don't know what the hell to do. So that's what he sounds like to me.
It's exactly it. But like I said, they're like making the rounds this week, just like you saw this one from Bill Burr. Hold on a sec. Ooh.
Pierre talked about going to one of your shows and complaining about you becoming woke, which sort of then created this.
He doesn't even know what that word means.
Let me sum
his definition of woke is white liberals' definition of woke, and they didn't even know what it was.
Yeah.
So South Park even brought up the thing of like, ask them what a woman is. Ask them if they know what a woman is. And he was asking it to Butters, and Butters obviously wasn't like making a trans argument. You know what I mean? He was going like, oh, it's a lady friend who gives you a kissy on the mouth. And you know, he pwns them, and it goes woke liberal pwned. But they, of course, they didn't put up the person there who they just did the episode last year about
Heather Swanson.
Heather, is that the name? Heather Swanson, is that the
Macho Man?
Yeah. Where was that person making that argument, like right there? But pretty easy lampoon. I guess they did lampoon it last year or something.
Well, they never answer the question. I usually don't ask that when I'm arguing this shit with anybody, because like they it feels played out at this point. But I don't know. Sometimes the thing that feels played out is like, surprisingly, these people haven't ever thought about this shit. I thought that about a lot of the things that Flip asked Maven when she was talking to us. There was a few times when I'd be like, why are you asking her about this? That's played out. She's definitely thought about. And then her answer was, oh, fuck, no, she has not thought about this. Not even a little bit. So I actually asked a guy the other day in this East Idaho news comment section who was arguing with me about trans shit. I was like, okay, well, he's like, I don't even think you know what a woman is. I was like, I don't. You're right. Could you tell me what it is? And then he said, your mother must be ashamed of you. Why do you have nipples? And I was like, answer my question first. And he said, I did. What? No, you didn't. You said my mother was ashamed of me and then asked me why I have nipples.
Yeah. Let me finish this one up.
I got in a whole fight with a feminist on an NPR article where it was about suicide. And somebody else pointed out that like men between 30 and 45 are like disproportionately likely to commit suicide. And I made a satirical comment about like, well, they're toxic, don't you know? That's just the least what they deserve. And I've been in a 2-day fight with a feminist basically saying, she says, well, of course they're killing themselves because they don't go to therapy. That's her answer. And I'm like, oh, okay, so victim blaming, huh? And like, it's just been going like, it's been a lot like Maven stuff only over the internet.
Also, I poo-poo a lot of the data gathering that happens, but I would love to gather some data on those who commit suicide and those who go to therapy. Like, what do you think it is? Like, do you think more people who commit suicide do or do not go to therapy?
Well, like,
it's hard because you have those ex vets who probably don't go to therapy, but if it's just people who are navel gazing, like regular society people, I would throw in the caveat: did they go to war or not? You know?
Yeah. Well, and also like, I mean, I never even got there with this dingbat, and I think she finally dropped off. But like, well, okay, so your whole thing is that men are less likely to go to therapy than women. Well, then why do women attempt suicide more than men despite going to therapy? Like, how would you even account for that in your stupid worldview? You know? And like, my whole thing is, she's like, well, what do you suggest we do? I'm like, well, maybe we should show men a little empathy.
Patriarchy.
And she's like, you don't know what empathy means. And I'm like, okay.
Oh, it's patriarchy. So the reason that men in the feminist worldview, the reason that men commit suicide more often than women, although women attempt it more often than men, is because patriarchy has socialize women into being more meek and nice, and therefore they want to commit suicide in a way that would be less of a burden on those around them, which just so happen to be things that are less effective, like pills and things like that. Whereas men use guns or jumping off bridges.
They should come up with like a type of labor that they deserve pay for that saved, like pallbearer, non-pallbearer labor wage cost of the female wage gap or something like that. Like I make sure that it takes less pallbearers to take me down. So there's some sort of way they're saving work there. Have you ever noticed, like if you look at Billy Burboy here, you look over at his ears, he's had a facelift over there.
Ooh, that's worse than any of the woke shit, honestly. Like I could handle him coming out as woke because he's one of my favorite comedians ever. And him being woke is annoying, but him getting a facelift is just contra to every joke he's ever told. It would crush me.
Well, this is I guess what I'm kind of trying to get at, because these people I'm looking at right now today who seem to have certain marching orders or going after something, which is generally trying to say, oh, these other guys who are now considered right wing, which hardly even are, Joe Rogan, Theo Vaughn, Andrew Schultz, who's already denounced Trump, and Shane Gillis or something like that. It's not even like the thing that they're claiming that it is, and everyone's like, oh, they're coming at him, even though the whole left side's been a complete political apparatus the entire time. It's guys who I did respect their comedy, like Mark Maron, Bill Burr, South Park guys. So I'm sitting there, I'm trying to say, like, are these guys making capable comedic takes on it? And South Park just makes stuff memeable, you know what I mean? They've got a skill for it one way or the other. I bet you the Christy Noem shooting the puppies thing will, you know, they got the skill for that sort of thing, even though I didn't really care. I don't think many people cared much about Christy Noem, but maybe now they will because South Park made it a thing. But Bill here is just saying the thing that you will hear every single person on Twitter ever say. You know, he doesn't even know what woke mean. What does woke mean? And so, like I was saying to you guys in this thread of it, so like, what if Shane Gillis at the ESPYs, when he was doing the stand-up comedy there, he made some kind of conservative jokes, making fun of the WNBA and all that sorts of stuff. But what if his jokes were just, what is a woman, libtards? Come on, Shane, you can do, you know, my pronouns are shut the fuck up, libtards. You know, that's the equivalent of what Bill Burr is doing here. Bill Burr, you're saying the thing 900 million Twitter people say.
That like happened to me when Patton Oswalt did his. So after his wife died, I remember I liked his stand-up up to that point, and he was coming out with his first stand-up after his wife died, and I was like, oh fuck, I'm excited to see what he does, because it might get pretty dark, or he could make some pretty good jokes. But his wife also died at the same time that Trump was president. So seriously, it was orange Cheeto dust nutsack. Like, I think that's an actual quote from his scene. It's like, dude, come on. There's so much. Like, look at Shane Gillis and how much he makes fun of Trump. There's material there, dude.
Yeah, in that ESPY thing, he made fun of Trump just as much as the WNBA.
I come to you to hear jokes that I can't hear from any random asshat on Facebook.
Exactly. That's what I'm looking at more than the politics of it here, because I've always, one of the things all of us have been on about isn't just that they have the politics, it's just that it's cut so hard into their capabilities somehow, you know. And part of me kind of goes, if you guys still just kept your politics but got capable again, I'd at least appreciate that, you know what I mean? And the South Park guys are about as close to doing it, you know, as I've seen them. And they've obviously are taking like a certain angle, but obviously they're like so good at making the visuals so far, I would say, are perfect. Like the JD Vance little baby visual and the AI stuff, or Cartman as Charlie Kirk, like super memeable and smart and funny. The actual show stuff going on is saying like, well, I got to get my nut. If you really think about it, if you have a certain political opinion, but they took her jobs thing was like a political stab that made it uncool to notice that you were getting squeezed out of jobs.
Yeah, but they were also right.
No, dude, even the English kids say that. Like that was a meme even over there.
Yeah. So they have to say, I got to get my nut. They're trying to kind of put out another, hey, you're a grifter podcaster. I'm just getting my nut. I'm getting my nut. And, make something poison by making it seem super duper uncool, which they also did very well for like the left-wing politics. But, Mark Maron saying, okay, it's not funny to do trans jokes anymore. He's like trying to come at it from a different angle of like, don't you dare do that or we'll shut you down. And he's coming from like, you're beating up the poor baby. You're the poor Hurley boy. The Hurley boy just wants to use your underwear and you're beating him up.
God, just let him stay in your house.
You already took his rights away. You can't make a joke now. It's over.
Look, man, I'd agree with you that the trans jokes are played out if you do them incorrectly, which was what you were pointing out in that message. Like, my pronouns is libtards. Sure, that'd be like, dude, come on, you can do.
Like, get off the stage, Shane Gillis. Like, if you got up there and did that, yeah. If he got up and said something so dorky as that, like, and you see those idiots all over Facebook, they're not on stage anywhere. But to me, like the Colberts and these guys of the world are saying stuff that is as shit as it's all like putting cat turd on the stage. If you know who cat turd is on Twitter, just the hack boomerist conservative guy, out there. And
they just took the word from black people. That's the worst thing about our people is not only do we take from other cultures, we don't even take the time to understand the definition.
Yeah.
The thing that's bad about that too, just like all this other stuff, is like conservatives, maybe it's that dual person, but like they've studied multiple times over the last several years that they know what the lefties think and the lefties don't know like what the conservatives think. Like everybody knows where wokeism start, Bill. Everybody who's a critic of it. Everybody who's a critic of it knows the history of it.
Oh, yeah, that was, an argument that I had with the gay woman at work a few weeks back. Like, I was explaining to her stance, and she was trying to explain to me my stance, and because she'd be like, you just don't get it. It's like, no, I get it. You think that even if I think that this is untrue, even if I think that a male cannot be a woman, I ought to at least pretend, even though I'm wrong about that, I have to at least pretend, because how does it affect me in any way? And it helps this person's mental illness or mental state, and it'll reduce suicide rates or whatever. I understand that. I get where you're coming from. I just think you're incorrect. And like it's like, I wanted to say she was deliberately misinterpreting me, but I don't think it was deliberate. I think
they don't know the arguments.
Yeah.
Let me finish this one.
He went there to be annoyed so he can then have something to talk about, and then he can make money off of dividing his own country.
Yeah.
Those people, it's treasonous what they do.
So that's the angle. South Park, Bill Burr, and Mark Maron all this week have said it's stuff that they don't really believe. They're just grifting it for because they can divide to make money.
Yes, but to be fair, or not to be fair, to the fact is that it worked for what his goal is, which is then it became a thing online where then a certain portion of the right complain about how you're woke,
racists,
and more racist.
They're racist. Yeah, they send pictures of monkeys to me and my wife. They're fucking horrible people, and they're cowards, and they never say it to your face.
Yeah,
they never do that. And no, they're like
Ben Shapiro talked about going.
I don't know, man. I feel like the guys I know that would send a picture of a monkey to you and your wife like that's super racist.
They send more to Shapiro.
They probably do. Yeah. But also I think they'd say it to your face. Like,
yes. Yeah.
They just can't say it to your face because they don't have access to your face.
Anthony Cumia went and tried to say it to your face, and you kicked him out of the building at Patrice O'Neal's like what do they call that? Like a benefit for the anniversary of his death. What do they even call death anniversaries, anything? Anyway, I'm just saying, like, that's kind of the angle right now. What's so funny nowadays is like when you see like a block angle that comes out all at once, because it's not just these guys. I've seen 4 or 5 other podcasts, like everybody's calling out the grifting comedic right over there. And it's like, shut up. You guys all have done politics for money for 10, 15 years, and you got paid way more because you got mainstream money for it, and it failed. And so now you're trying to take this angle. But because we're sitting in the week that Howard Stern's getting canceled.
Who would you say you would call a right-wing grifter?
Actual grifters people who you probably doubt that they really do believe that, but I believe Shapiro believes.
No, but I mean, like, specifically, who?
Yeah,
Candace has a lot about her that did not seem that she held the beliefs until she
Candace
saw
is
the
the first. Candace Owens is the first one that comes to mind for me.
Yeah. No, the other thing with hers, it was like, because right off the bat, like the instant that she like turned conservative, there was a whole bunch of people like, "Hey, watch out for this lady. She's a phony." Because they pointed out, like, the thing she did immediately before being conservative was try to make that that name and shame website for conservatives. Yeah. And they're like, no, this lady, like, this isn't somebody to be taken seriously. She's a dangerous person. And I was like, oh, okay. And like, and not that I was ever going to take her seriously because she's an idiot, but.
Well, I mean, the thing is, like, grifters jump to stuff or whatever, but still, I just think always ultimately it's the information. Like, so much of the zeitgeist of what they're doing is still an identity zeitgeist, just in the sense of who are you getting info from? Who are you getting info from? And I'll commit the genetic fallacy sometimes, but no, it's still just, is the information true or not true? And can I verify it secondhand somewhere?
Do you think she's an idiot though?
No.
Like, because I don't think she's an idiot. No. I was talking to.
She's not like low IQ.
No, I was talking to Morgan about that because she's asking me about the Brigitte Macron stuff, and I was explaining it to her, and she's like, "Yeah, it doesn't seem convincing that woman is trans. Why do you think she's on about this?" I was like, "Oh, I think she's probably deliberately lying about it. Maybe to call attention to something more important, which is the other shit that she exposed in her Macron series or whatever, but I don't think she actually thinks that Brigitte Macron is trans. I think she's just lying." And Morgan's like, "I don't think she'd be deliberately deceitful." So, oh, I do.
Well, so part of this week, a big thing going around this week is Candace and Tucker had a podcast where they threw Nick Fuentes under the bus, saying that he was some sort of Fed. And Nick Fuentes had a crackback on them for 2 hours, saying that they were both Feds. And Fuentes said that Candace gets that money from Russia because Russia, if you look it up, Russia and France have major different like issues right now, and they're going at each other really hard. And so Fuentes says Russia's paying her to embarrass Macron and those guys. They say Fuentes is just a paid person like David Duke to like go take pictures with people, and just like I'm talking about with Cartman, like if you make the thing seem poison, if you just get a picture with them. And Fuentes almost didn't even like deny it. Like he said, when I was just coming out, I was saying I just want to speak myself, and I will back you up. I'll back up any politician. All they have to do is not disown me. They have to just not disown me. And when I go up and offer them my support, they have to accept me full-hearted, not say yes, but I disagree with them. And if they do that, so you're offering yourself up as the poison pill. You're offering yourself up to be that thing. And this is one of the weird things about them, is because I think you can get some truth from all three of them. But what I think the truth is from all three of them is that I think all of their accusations of the others are true.
It's the Spider-Man meme of like 3 different Feds pointing to each other.
I think it is, and yes, they are all Feds. That's what I think. Well, they all have something clandestine.
You think Fuentes is a Fed?
I think Fuentes is a Fed. I think Candace is getting some sort of foreign money. I think Tucker has his angle of people that he's been with. I don't know exactly like who or what it is. One of the reasons I think Fuentes and Candace, you can tell, are some sort of Fed is they are smart, right? But when they go and do those podcasts, like they'll do a podcast today and they'll do a podcast tomorrow. The podcast today and the podcast tomorrow, it's kind of like we once a week talk for 3 hours, but we're all garbled and jump all over the place and just saying all sorts of stuff. They have very, very detailed, put together, moment-to-moment scripts, dropping names of people who are way deep down in government, all over the sorts of thing, all over. Like Candace Owens didn't research that overnight. Maybe she could have done that for 2 months or something like that, but she didn't do that overnight. And then tomorrow she'll do another one. And then tomorrow she'll do. No, Candace Owens does not have time to do research like that, and neither does Nick Fuentes. And they both present themselves as one-man show. So like that, like those two there are like some of the most obvious things in the world. They're like, no, they're getting some scripts from other people. And Tucker doesn't do those things so much because he has longer time in news and all that sort of stuff. So he knows a lot more people, but he's not doing so. He's doing more interviews than rather than just doing an hour-long expose on this thing that I researched. That us three are smart guys. One of those research shows would take us like a week or so to do to get like that deep into different names and this guy and this person who knew this guy in the CIA during the Iran Contra, and then actually he pops up over here at the same time too, over in El Salvador in 1980 something like. Where did you get the documents that pulled up that he popped up in El Salvador, Candace? You know, you didn't just sit, like Candace doesn't sit and autistically research the internet like that overnight to get ready for tomorrow and land on this big juicy thing for tomorrow after just doing the big juicy thing yesterday.
Yeah, I don't know. I saw something recently about Nick Fuentes accusing Tucker Carlson of his dad being in the CIA, and Tucker Carlson saying, actually, I didn't know my dad was in the CIA until after he died. And then somebody pulled up a whole bunch of clips of him just straight up saying, yeah, I found out my dad was in the CEI years ago and it was terrible. You know?
Yeah, he's lying about that.
I don't trust you.
Yeah. So, I mean, but what I'm saying though is that from all three of them, I think you can get truth from all three of them because maybe some of the things they're pointing out. I also think you can get sometimes some truth from a poison pill person because they gave or was given out some sort of truth as a limited hangout to this person who's not credible. So if the not credible person says it, it immediately poisons it. Like, I think that sort of thing happens in espionage and that sort of stuff. So I think if you're listening to them, it's like the Apocrypha, you know, the church said about the Apocrypha. I looked up the church's stance on the Apocrypha after all of Midnight Mormons and Ward stuff, and it says some of it's true and some of it's false. Hard to tell, but that's what I think is absolutely true of those all those Fed posters. It's like there's some stuff in there that's not a lie. I guarantee it, and there's some stuff in there that is. And but yes, I do think they all have weird backing. But anyway, back to this other side over here. Going along with all this stuff, there's all these people like, you know, putting these memes out about wokeness, and it's back to Mott and Bailey like all over again. Like they're just getting some of the Charlie Kirk debate that I watched was guys going up and saying, "Do you think tampons should be in a workplace?" And go, "I think you can have tampons in the workplace." That's DEI. That's DEI. Like that's not DEI. You know what I mean? It got mandated by law or something like that. Which
I know if you had to.
Yeah, but the guy's just saying like that's just opening up space for women to come in. That's all DEI is doing. Like, no, you guys are straight Mott and Baileying stuff like really hard all over the place. But so here's the Mott again. Superman meme. All I'm doing is being true to myself. It's who I've always been. And Lex Luthor calls him woke trash. And Superman says, the fact that kindness and hope are woke is embarrassing for you, not insulting to me. And I've seen 100 of these different posts. And so like suddenly wokeness just means being superhero nice, you know. And Bill Burr is out there saying, you guys don't know what wokeness mean. And so I just like typed out on ChatGPT, which you can't trust. See, there's Bill Burr saying like there. Shapiro doesn't even know what the word means. So I asked ChatGPT, could you say from the stand-up view from an anti-woke person what wokeness is? The ChatGPT got it. I thought it was going to lie to me, you know, but it didn't. It just says, oh, can you read that or see that?
Yeah. Why anti-woke critics hate wokeness, perceived as intolerant or authoritarian. Anti-woke critics argue that wokeness demands total ideological conformity, punishes dissent, and shuts down free expression via cancel culture. Dissenting views, even if respectful, are often labeled as bigotry or hate, stifling open debate. Ideological overreach. Wokeness is seen as injecting identity politics into every area of life: education, entertainment, corporations, science, law, and even family dynamics. Critics even believe it elevates group identity over individual character or merit, fostering division. Weaponization of morality. Critics see wokeness as a kind of quasi-religion, complete with original sin, privilege, blasphemy, wrong speech, and rituals, land acknowledgements, and pronouns. Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I was surprised by.
Yeah. It's accused of replacing traditional values with a new moral order that punishes the unwoke, redefining language and norms. Anti-woke voices reject that they see, what they see as constant re-engineering of language, such as ever-evolving terms for gender, race, and identity. They also view safe spaces and trigger warnings as infantilizing and corrosive to resilience. Spot on. Elitism and hypocrisy. Wokeness is often perceived as a luxury belief held by elites in academia, media, and tech who push progressive ideals without bearing the cost themselves. Oh, God, yeah, that's some luxury beliefs right there. Examples include wealthy institutions preaching equity while maintaining privilege, moral panic and overcorrection. Anti-woke critics argue that legitimate concerns about racism or sexism have been distorted into hysteria, saying oppression where none exists, and punishing people for minor or unintentional offenses. Microaggressions. Historical figures are canceled or erased rather than contextualized, undermining Western traditional values. Wokeness is seen as hostile to religion, patriotism, capitalism, and classical liberal principles like colorblindness, freedom of conscience. Oh man, it's really getting it.
I couldn't believe
colorblindness, freedom of conscience, and individual rights. Critics believe it promotes resentment and grievance over gratitude and shared citizenship. Summary, anti-woke viewpoint. Wokeness is an intolerant ideology that clothes itself in compassion but enforces conformity through shame and censorship. It divides people by identity, redefines reality, and demands allegiance to a new secular moral orthodoxy, all while claiming to be virtuous. Yeah, pretty much nailed it.
Yeah, I didn't have to ask it like multiple times either or anything like that.
Damn.
And
was that so? That looks like, is that the Facebook one? Does that matter?
No, I copied it over to Facebook, and
okay.
Then I couldn't get it over. It's just ChatGPT. But yeah, and so much of like they say, well, what's wokeness? You don't even know what wokeness is, and some people can even get, if you ask us, like a little bit more overly kind of James Lizzie technical talking.
Honestly, that like the quickest, the quickest thing, because I will say, like, I don't know, if I'm talking to somebody who I think knows something about this, I'll be like, it's looking at everything through the lens of critical consciousness. If I'm not talking to that person, I'll explain to them, well, like, it's not the entirety of wokeness, but the main issue of wokeness that you might understand is viewing disparate outcomes as only being put forth by systemic oppression. Like there's nothing other than oppression that could define that. That's usually that's usually kind of the little spark notes that I'll give if somebody asks me what it means.
Yeah, it's like the Kendi thing there. Get into some other stuff, but I don't know if I should bring up. Well,
Leslie, I have always doubted whether Pearl, the anti-feminist YouTuber, actually believes a lot of what she says. Pearl's one that I called a grifter.
Good one.
Like the second, I heard her on a Jubilee thing, and I was like, oh, she's bringing up some good points. I'll go listen to her. And the second I started listening to her, I was like, oh, she doesn't believe anything she's saying. She's just doing this for money.
That's a good one.
Also, if I followed her advice, I've said this before on here, but I've decided that if I follow your advice to its logical conclusion and it leads me to hate my wife, then that's a non-starter. And that's Pearl. If I listen to everything Pearl says, I will hate my wife. And I'm pretty firm in the axiom that I'm not supposed to hate my wife.
Yeah, if I would say Andrew Tate fell into that category a little bit. I'm going to come back to that thing later, but only because he suddenly started trying to code as somebody who was aligned with the right wing, and you're like, no, dude, no, you aren't. But and that just goes right in line with the Pearl stuff.
Risto called me the pre-sup hubby. Yes, I own that. I am a husband with the presupposition that I ought not hate my wife. I'm very comfortable with that presupposition.
You mean you pedestalizer?
Yep, that's what it is.
Which is a form of patriarchy.
Yeah, I'm patriarchal because it's patriarchy either way you go. So
yeah, exactly.
Tails I lost.
So in the show notes of this, I said Mormon Stories is Luxury Beliefs, the podcast. And you want to hear something funny that they've gone around saying on TikTok? They go around, the guys go around calling each other my nizer, my nizer. What's up, my nizer? And it's because you're my colonizer. You're my colonizer. What's up, my fellow colonizers? Hey, my nizer. What's up, my nizer?
Oh man, it's a hard R though.
Did on the subject of Mormon stories, was that the week that did Streeter drop that thing?
Yeah, I got it right here.
Okay.
So I guess this is what I was getting into. I want to show the little video that I showed you guys. Did you guys watch the video of the Sex and the City clip that I just filmed on my TV last night?
Yes.
How does it work?
Okay, watch this. Like, this is played for cutesy cutes. This is cutesy, I guess, right? Sex and the City. I watch Sex and the City because I want to murder my brain. I'm suicidal. I mean, I don't think I'm suicidal until I sit here and try to 100% complete Sex and the City stuff, and then I go, I guess I am suicidal. Like, I have to.
If you went to a therapist, they'd tell you to watch Sex and the City.
Yeah. Watch this. This is played for cutesy fun. They're two adopted daughters, of course, from these New York liberals.
Positive. You don't understand. She's still going for it. I spent those weekends with his boyfriend, and if I'm not there, Eric gets both nights, and that puts me at a disadvantage. Lily, you are spending the weekend with your family. End of story. I'm sure you can make up this time with your polyamorous, polysexual boyfriend. Can you believe it's parenting now? No, sure. I cannot.
Is that the act? Is that really the acting in that show? That's terrible.
Yeah, it's that bad. And of course, that kid's the trans kid in it. So the one's dating a polyamorous gay guy, and it's all cutesy cutesy. It's cutesy cutes.
Did they? Okay, that guy's wearing a Chris Chan shirt. That's Chris Chan's famous shirt, isn't it?
Which, the rugby polo, or are you talking about
the rugby polo? Yeah, like isn't that Chris Chan's shirt?
I don't know. I'm not super brushed up on my Chris Chan lore.
Like, it's the famous shirt. It is.
Troy, that wasn't SNL. No, it was hilarious. Troy, don't be a dick. And they accidentally point out like a major pitfall of polyamory.
So
I try to be cutesy.
What are you saying, Flip? Did you find it? Are you gonna put it on the?
Where is it?
Does everybody know who Chris Chan is? I mean, I'm sure our crowd does, but we talked about it before. Hold on, did you share it?
Yeah.
Hold on.
It's really close.
I mean, rugby shirts are all pretty close, right?
Because, like, you would think.
Holy shit! Yeah, that's.
So they dressed the trans kid in Chris Chan's shirt.
That has to be deliberate. Was that an accident?
Okay, yeah, you're right. That's.
Oh my gosh!
They should have given him a Sonichu medallion.
Oh my gosh! Okay, so look at the shirt. Look at the shirt. I'm going back to the trans kid in Sex and the City. Hold on, I gotta remove that. Remove. Share screen.
We're good podcasters.
Okay, maybe they weren't trying to be cutesy. Maybe there's some base Chad in the writer's room trying to sort of McClellan style entryist his way into Lefty broadcasting.
I mean, Chris Chan is trans now.
Oh, Risto asked my candle is coffee. It's vanilla bean, caramel biscotti. It smells kind of like coffee. It's a wood wick. I like the sound of it. And there's a lot of diapers in my trash can right now. So it's either piss or coffee. That's what my room can smell like.
So just this week on Dad Saves America, they had Rob Henderson here. And Rob Henderson's a really interesting guy. He grew up very, very, very poor. He was like abandoned and adopted, and then adopted into like a druggie family. And then he ended up at very high educated schools, and he just talks about his life growing up. And he landed on, when he got to college and was hanging out with all of those Sex in the City type people who were walking around talking about their polyamory and their thruples and their all that sorts of stuff. He just knew it could not fly or work at all in the universe that he came from, of a very downtrodden place. So he started calling them luxury beliefs, because they're beliefs that people who can afford the cost of bad choices that's really what it is. Low personal cost to the wealthy. So it's you can afford to have a major divorce. You've got the $1 million to have these major divorces. You can afford to go through major medicalization issues and problems, or to have some drug problem. You can afford to get onto those sorts of things. Defunding the police is one of them he talks about. Or marriage is outdated. Wealthy people may say marriage isn't necessary, but still tend to marry at high rates. And giving their children stable homes with poor communities may see more family instability. And I always say the thing like where Helfer blames capitalism for people's monogamy type thing. Like, this is all something that came out of monogamy. And just this I think it was 2 weeks ago, Brett and Heather Hang went into detail about the stability of monogamous foxes versus non-monogamous foxes, right? Because there's less fighting between litters of non-true siblings. Like, there's more, the siblings who are blood siblings have less fighting than the siblings who are half siblings.
Really?
Yeah, they went into that into detail, and so a fox can do stuff to survive the winter better in a sort of like a monogamous situation. What I'm just saying is, it's always just been something that came out of nature. Even the capitalism, I think, is technically a thing that came out of nature, because you have to own and and trade, and the whole concept of it just is a natural thing. That's why it's like so popular or picked up so well with us. It seems just like
I don't think you've ever heard of bonobos, if that's the case.
Yeah, that's true. Well, E.O. Wilson E.O. Wilson would say, the guy who started the concept of evolutionary psychology, people would ask him, like, what do you think about communism and socialism? He says, great ideology, wrong species. You say, like, it would work with bees, it's not going to work with humans who are able to conceptualize possession and identity. Some of the problem with it is identity. You're able to conceptualize identity. And I wanted to get into a little bit of a...
Risto's trying to bait you.
What's he saying?
Clownfish and penguins.
Oh my goodness. I stand corrected. South Park has shamed me, and Risto has master debate broed me out of this, and I quit podcasting. It ends now. Anyway, yeah, these watch the Dad Saves America of the Luxury Beliefs, and then tell me go listen to any single Mormon Stories episode and tell me how it's not just all affirmations of luxury beliefs. Even the leaving your religion is a luxury belief. Like, it takes, one of the reasons Christopher Hitchens understood this, and it's one of the reasons he would push people. Like, he wouldn't push so much to say you must go lose your religion. He says you must go get educated. You must go get educated and wealthy, and that will follow. That's what Hitchens said about the Middle East. But anyway, what screen am I on? Am I on the pod? Oh, I'm still on the luxury beliefs. So here's the Dad Saving America one. So go watch that whole one. But
wait, Jonathan is commenting on your Chat GPT history.
What's it say?
I don't know. I didn't see it. I saw something about Bonnie Blue right before you flipped over.
Oh yeah, because somebody asked me if Bonnie Blue is a trans person or not. So yeah, was it over on the side? Average penis girth in diameter. Yeah. So people, but I promise you that was stuff that people were asking me about. So anyway, because somebody was saying, was Bonnie Blue a trans or rumors or something like that. Anyway,
it would make sense if Bonnie Blue is trans. A dude would be way, way superior at taking 1,000 dicks in 12 hours to a woman.
Yeah. So the luxury beliefs are ideas and opinions that confer status upon the upper class while often inflicting costs on the lower class. I saw this superhero fanverse thing. Experience she wants to explore to find herself the brave queen. Real men who aren't. This is just like floating around on Facebook. I guess maybe my algorithm brought it to me or something like that. But,
yeah.
So I guess we saw this as somebody on Twitter just talking about all the rules in Mormonism. I'm not making any judgments about her. I don't even know who this is talking about. Apologize to Mormons blaming Lindsey Sterling, because Lindsey Sterling came out and said
she likes coffee.
Yeah.
That's all I saw. Did she say more than that?
No, no, just basically that. She said, "Oh, I'm still Mormon, but I'm, you'll see me with my coffee or something like that." Anyway,
I can't imagine she'll be Mormon for long.
I don't know how she's been Mormon this long.
So did Jonathan make this?
Yeah, he, with the help of some AI, I think is what he said that he made that.
Oh man, it's not going to be able to scroll in far enough.
Yeah, it's difficult. You got to scroll in pretty far on your phone to read it.
It was farther earlier on something else that I had. Hold on a second, maybe I can. Oh, I can scroll on this one. If I come out of the slides, we can. Let's read every single one of them.
Thou shalt center the voices of marginalized in all discussions and decisions. Thou shalt not ignore the systemic oppression embedded in societal structures. Thou shalt always acknowledge thy privilege and use it to uplift those without it. Thou shalt dismantle the patriarchy in every aspect of life. All right, how far do you want me to go here?
All of them.
Okay.
Pick and choose, like a spot choose down.
Let's see. Thou shalt challenge white supremacy wherever it manifests, and it manifests everywhere. Thou shalt not body shame. Celebrate all body sizes. That was Morgan's woke breaking point. Thou shalt recognize that silence in the face of injustice is complicity. Oh, yes. Thou shalt educate thyself on the histories of marginalized groups. Different ways of knowing. Yes, you're correct. Thou shalt uplift the narratives of indigenous knowledge. Yes. Thou shalt honor the sacred bond of sisterhood and feminism. I don't know. It cuts off on the right side there.
Well, anyway,
I was skipping around doing a bunch of them.
So Jonathan went and put that onto the Mormon story.
Yeah, do you want me to read his thing?
Can you see that, or do I have to go to the other one for that too?
I can get it. Some of you might be new to ex-Mormonism. We are pretty chill. None of that toxic perfectionism that the church is fond of espousing. If you want to know how to be good and moral in the liberating world of modern secular culture, there are just a few things that you could learn by trial and error. To help out, I've compiled a list so you can get on board and know how to be good outside of religion. Don't sweat it if you get some of this wrong. We will just point out what a horrible person you are and do a social media equivalent of shunning and ostracism. Is that what it's ostracism? Yeah.
Oh, ostracism. Yeah.
Ostracism. Estrogen is when the feminists cover you in estrogen.
Oh yeah, that's it. They just splooge estrogen on your face. Then if you point out that this is what we are doing, we will just delete your posts and comments and quietly boot you from the group. No biggie.
Yeah. And then those are all there. So I didn't some people showed us some of the answers and all that sort of stuff. I didn't bring up every single one of them, but obviously I'm going to maybe talk about some of them that we got some screenshots of. We might have commented it on ourselves or pulled the screenshots up ourselves to get ourselves kicked out. Maybe that's what got us kicked out of there.
Unfortunately, we've all previously violated one of these few commandments.
None of us can see it or look at it or participate in it. No, but other people could send it to us. And it is not, we're not saying anybody who you see names tonight is who sent it to us.
It's weird.
We have flies on the wall.
Yeah, it's weird that we got booted because Dylan, like, he really wants to create sort of a neutral space. So I don't know how we got booted.
Yeah.
Super neutral.
So I saw a fly on the wall where somebody very kindly and explained that they were shadow banned and they didn't think it was fair. And Dylan said, DM me and I'll fix it, which I kind of thought, like, so is there an amnesty? And I kind of thought about DMing John just to see, like, hey, I got banned from there for like 10 years ago for bullshit. I'd like you to go ahead and unban me because you were saying that you're not going to, do that shit anymore. But I haven't. I've been waiting for an actual declaration of amnesty.
Yeah, well, that might work for you. I don't think that would work for me and Chris because he would probably like look us up and realize that we were on the Jacob Hansen.
Maybe that's why we got banned, was because of the Jacob.
I was
Hansen
banned
one.
years before that.
But we brought it up before. We'll bring it up again if ever this comes up. They say like, oh, we brought up his children who he's advertised and had all of them on the show now, and he goes and searches out people's porn shoulders, the BYU players' porn shoulders on Instagram and all that sorts of stuff. Like, he's just not above any one of the sort of things that he claims that we did. And we were commenting on his daughter's book that they published and advertised through that, and we bought off of Amazon. We paid for the book, which talks about luxury beliefs.
I know. You know what's hilarious about this is that my mom was over seeing the baby the other day, and she was talking about all of the ex-Mormon podcasters, and I was kind of filling her in on some of the finer details of it or whatever. And she asked like who my least favorite of all of the ex-Mormon sphere is, and I said Natasha Helfer Parker for sure, by quite a bit.
Is Parker on there? Is it Parker? Is she double last named? Is that really it?
Natasha Helfer Parker.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Double last name. And I always just call her Natasha because 3 names is a mouthful. So fuck off, feminism. And my mom immediately like light bulbs. Oh yeah, I hate her. I was like, you know her? Because my mom doesn't. She knows a couple of these guys, and she knows Natasha Helfer because one of her friends, shortly after she left Mormonism, drug her to a Thrive event where Natasha Helfer got up there. And then she spoke about, and I cut my mom off. I was like, did she speak about ethical non-monogamy? She's like, yes. How come as soon as you leave the Mormon church, you just got to start banging other people? If I'm not Mormon anymore, but like if I were to raise my kids, I'd tell them pretty much all the same things I did. I'd tell them to be monogamous. I'd tell them to try to wait till marriage. And all this stuff. I was like, yep. And so my mom watched Natasha Helfer Parker live and then told her friend, I'm never coming to one of these again.
Nice. I think the thing that drives me more nuts than anything out there is one of the reasons I liked Jon Stewart and Stephen Colbert back in the day is the people who zing on the people who are claiming to be neutral and obviously aren't. And back in the day, they were correct to call out Bill O'Reilly for being that person. Bill O'Reilly's no spin zone when it was obviously, a conservative thing. And that's basically all they were lampooning, is that you guys were lying that you are not objective. And I can even say that Fox News was kind of the first place to really start being super just bang you over the head, obviously like Political calling itself an objective news station. But those other places always did have their biases. They were just a little bit more subtle about them. But then they got just as bombastic as Fox ever did. And to this day, they're still holding on to that neutral thing. And Fox News gave up that neutral thing years ago.
That's kind of what I told one of my friends at work when he's talking about. He made fun of Fox News. What's their slogan? Fair and balanced. I was like, yeah, they're full of shit. And he's like, yeah, they need to be more like the other news outlets that have slogans like "We're really fair," like CNN or MSNBC. I was like, you're retarded. If you actually watch MSNBC and think that it is neutral, you are retarded.
Yeah. So how much do you think you have to follow all those rules right there? Because Jonathan got some pushback and said, the pushback went like this.
Yeah, the pushback seemed to be like, oh, you're being ridiculous. Like, come on, man. But nobody. Oh, here it is.
Well, I put in people who are public figures there.
Yeah. This seems silly. Who in the ex-Mormon community enforces this list of rules, Jonathan? Please name names. You jackass!
Yeah,
we've all been blocked from your fucking group for violating one of these commandments.
Yeah, and it's like, how many of those people said or liked comments where Streeter was called a transphobe?
Yeah.
How many times have you
or saw them, or just saw them, and didn't pop to his defense and say, "Hey, we're not like this. We don't do this."
How many times did you make a bleeding apology because you didn't want to lose your donors or your audience capture? Just a groveling apology because you somehow accidentally transgressed one of those things. Like said something like maybe polyamory doesn't work for some people, and you got chided by both our favorite helper, but we saw TikToks from Zelf on the Shelf, or it was more than a TikTok. She like wrote almost like a Substack about Tasha Helfer put Jonathan in his place about his antiquated ideas on polyamory. And there's Colby, who's had the argument with us on here where we have told him directly to his face, we are all banned from all of there. And on those places, I never said anything that would be bannable on those YouTube channels or on John Lynn's Mormon story.
Yeah, if Colby were listening to this, he said the parts about deleting and ostracizing almost seem like parody, given he's done these types of posts on repeat. Okay, Jonathan has enough clout that he won't get kicked out immediately for this kind of shit. People really like Jonathan, and they really want to pretend he's not a crazy bigot, even though a lot of people do like pretending that he is a crazy bigot. But the rest of us, like those of us who didn't have that clout, we got banned pretty fucking quickly.
I said Kobe was there arguing on the last thread that I was able to comment on. And that was when Maven posted the trans thing from the supposed trans educated, that Forrest whatever dude. And we said, if I posted, all I said on there was, if I posted something that was the exact opposite from that guy's a trans educator, like he's a biologist educator. He doesn't even have like a master's degree in biology. And I said, I can post some opposing ideas from PhD biologists, and I will get the band kicked off and booted off of here. That's what I said. Like, that's the last thing I said on Mormon Stories. And not only did that whole thread get taken down, they took down Maven's even, but I'm suddenly not on Mormon Stories anymore. That's what I said. Well, I said, if I did the opposite, the tombstone of the conservative, well, imagine if the opposite,
Well, and the Den Mother mods of all these groups communicate with each other. Because I mean, like I've talked to Liz, who's like one of the moderators of the main ex-Mormon group and a couple other ex-Mormon groups. When the last ex-Mormon group I tried to join, she told me that they messaged her and asked, like, should we let him join? And she told him, well, he's big old transphobe and he really, like, he's hateful and all this shit. But I mean, you can let him join, but he might get kicked out. So, like, all of these dead mothers are talking to each other. I mean, Delin, I don't know. I feel like he's trying to act like he's out of the loop, and he's just really not as out of the loop as he wants to be.
Yeah, it's hard to take him seriously, like, especially again with all the fly on the wall stuff we know, and also just, shit that's happened to all of us and we've seen happen to people. Like, no, I think he's way more connected to this stuff than he lets on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the plausible deniability thing that you can do. But that's when we had our hero swoop in, and I thought I had it here.
Starbase collab. Maven, the ever-present reminder to not ordain women.
That's why, Maven. You're why. You're the reason.
If I were in charge of the church, I might have ordained women until I met Maven. Like, oh, fuck, no.
I'm going to show who swooped in, though. And this was not shared to us by Troy Levitt. And Troy Levitt did not even know we were going to mention Troy Levitt. So don't go booting Troy Levitt off of this, even though he's already shadow banned from the YouTubes and all that sorts of stuff, I think. But no, it was not Troy who sent this to us. We saw this as flies on the wall ourselves. Hold on. Ouch. How far back do I got to go? I thought I had it saved on these, but can you read this? I don't have it saved on the. I could transfer this to another place. Hold on, let me.
There we go. Yeah, I can make
the
that out.
guy above also commented something.
So yeah, we already read John's, and then we get Troy, John DeLynn, and Colby Kevin. To me, I interpret Jonathan's post here to represent the vague Overton window that much of the ex-Mormon community, especially Mormon Stories podcast community, appears to have. There are topics of acceptable discussion and topics that are considered outside of acceptable discourse. I would add a caveat to that there are certain topics that are not outside acceptable discussion. Things like trans issues, they're not outside acceptable discussion. It's that you can only discuss one side of them. That's what got me booted from ex-Mormon, is that some zealot decided to make it a queer theory testimony hour. And I did not bring up trans stuff. I did not bring up queer theory stuff. But she kept bringing it up, and I would push back. And she begged the mods to kick me out, and that's what got me kicked out. I know she begged the mods to kick me out because the mods told me that she begged me and several other people.
Oh, really? You got told? Oh, wait.
Yeah, in the ex-Mormon group.
Oh, that word. Yeah.
Yeah, I was told
I recall that.
like, oh, there were dozens of people begging me to kick you out. And I was like, well, you could have stuck to your guns, or you could have been a little bitch. Anyway, many ex-Mos have found themselves shadow banned from participating, especially in the live chats of Mormon Stories podcast. Because these shadow bans happen silently, suddenly, and without explanation, many of us find ourselves in the excluded from participating category without knowing how or why we ended up there. I am one of those who have been shadow banned from participating in live chats by Mormon Stories podcast.
What could have Troy have said? Like, what could have Troy?
I know. I would really like to know. But Maven's moderating.
Beyond an answer like this, like I could imagine him getting like, well, okay, delete this podcast, delete that, and then John DeLink can ask the question again. This seems silly. Who in the next Mormon community even does this? And now Troy's comment's gone.
Yeah,
that's how shadow banning works.
Yeah.
But I have no idea why. Marty Nilsson of Where Will You Go? On
Marty, how? Like how?
Yeah. Is another. Other shadow bans include pretty much all of the Porch Time crew, Jacob Hansen's ex-Mo brother Forrest, and so on. None of us know exactly what rule was broken or what comment was made to earn our respective bans, but there you go.
There's nothing shadow about my ban. I'm pretty sure.
I know.
I think my face is posted up on his office wall.
Well, we've been told by Maven that our ban is not shadow.
But Flip, on Maven, but Maven just also banned us for, I mean, Flip can be direct, or something like that. But I don't know if she ever said, I don't know, if sometimes you use the word, it could be called a name, like saying you are being a bigot or something like that. But
yeah, no, that's the thing is like, I mean, that's how I got, I'm pretty sure it was Mormon Stories too, but the ex-Mormon group, I was told that I was name calling by saying you are being a bigot. And like, so there's double hypocrisy there because like, okay, it's not name calling when you're describing bigotry, but also you guys throw that word around all the fucking time.
Yeah, they say, well, you'll say to them like, "This is how Nazis think," and they're like, "You guys are, oh my gosh," and like all you see all day everywhere for 8 years is like, "This is a Nazi, this is a Nazi, you guys are the Nazis."
And then he just says, when Maven was still moderating Mormon Stories podcast, I asked her about all the shadow banning. She told me that it was a John DeLynn thing, and she was uninvolved. So there's a bit of context, I suppose. I don't know. Like, I don't doubt that John DeLynn was involved, but also Maven's lying to you, Troy.
Yeah, that also could just
she's a wimp when you confront her personally. Like when you confront her one-on-one, she is not as headstrong and retarded as she is in online context.
Yeah. Anyway, kind of one of the things, like when we had Kobe on here and we were arguing with him, and it got all kind of jumbled and we got lost in like technicalities what a fallacy is or that sort of deal. But one of the things is that these aren't, you guys aren't saying what my beliefs are on this thing. And we could almost in a way from the other side struggle session say, what are your beliefs on those things? Well, I haven't said them. Yes, we know you haven't said them. Why won't you say them? Why won't you say, oh, I don't want to be political or something like that? No, you will be ostracized from that place if it's anywhere moderate. And that was the whole thing that we brought up with Maven and Bill Real and RFM, that all they said to her is like, we're pretty darn liberal on this too, but you go extreme and you demonize people who don't go as extreme as you. And she screamed and yelled and called them misogynists, terrible men, shut me down, all that sorts of stuff. Then her next two defenders, Divas and that lady who were on with her, both kind of fleetingly said, well, I have my own opinions on this stuff. But maybe you want to stop and like wring their necks and say, if you say what those opinions are, you are as bad as Bill Real and RFM. You know, because if they're anywhere but all the way extreme, you are worse than a rapist.
And now I am become bigot.
You know,
But that's just
destroyer of femoids.
I was just listening to some random YouTube thing, and at the end of it, a terrible, terrible song came up, and I just suddenly thought about the Divas's AI Maven butt licking song again. I'm like, we need to revisit that. We should play that once a year on the anniversary.
Yeah, I go get back to. I still use the Divas explosion for the screen wipe over there, but
that was embarrassing.
He's stopped paying attention to his laughs again too, so I can make a new laugh highlight reel. Yeah. Anyway, is it so overkill that they're full on religion, as the Chat GPT says it, or the Chat GPT says that anti-woke people say it? I don't know. So here's from the Mormon side. This is the Mormon side. Old Jackson Washburn. Once again, it's his Facebook, but he puts himself out as a public figure. Evil times are upon us. Do not let them corrupt the good within you. Stand for higher and holier virtues and repudiating idea. Would it be more boring of a life to wake up as Jackson Washburn every day or as Dan McClellan every day? Like which one would you wake up and just like immediately want to go back to sleep if you were that person, because you don't have to be thinking their thoughts all day?
Jackson Washburn has to pretend to believe in God. Dan McClellan only has to lie about pretending to believe in God. So I think I'd rather be Dan McClellan.
Dan McClellan has to like wrap his language up in pedantic, credentialed PhD talk. Jackson washes his up more kind of in swooshy poetry type. The rich.
Sure, here's what I'm trying to say. So you got Jackson and Dan, and you have to choose one of them to give an atomic wedgie, and one of them to like watch get just abjectly destroyed in a debate and humiliated. Which would you do for which one?
Wedgie Jackson and
yeah. So would you rather be the guy that gets atomic, like who people immediately want to atomic wedgie, or the guy who people want to intellectually destroy? I would rather be Dan McClellan in this case, and that's not something I say lightly. But Jackson is so painfully like dorky that I'm like, ugh, no, there's no way. Like he's a virgin. He's got to be.
Even after marriage.
Yep. It's like how feminists call people incels even though they're married men. I'm gonna start calling people virgins. And Jackson gives off massive virgin energy.
You know how you said that you really truly had a bother of the word moist? I have a word like that, but it's not the sound of the word.
Oh, no, I don't. Moist doesn't bother me.
That's not you. You said it's other people who.
I was saying that's other people. I was saying it's a lie.
That's from Dead Like Me. Did you ever watch that show?
It's from a lot of things. It's How I Met Your Mother.
I never did.
I don't know who did it first. Was it Dead Like Me?
I think it became a meme. It was almost like Nickelback.
I think it was Dead Like Me, because that's the whole thing. Is like the character's narrating and introducing her family. This is something about like my mom hates the word moist.
I don't like the word. The word moist is fine with me, but I found a way that I do dislike it. It's moister, and I was like, it's got to be more moist. It's got to be more moist. I looked it up. No, it's moister.
Is it moister?
Yeah, and I was like, what the hell? Like, because I hear it all the time on Victor Davis Hansen's podcast. The lady who's on it. They have a commercial where she talks about skin cream, and she goes, "This makes my skin feel lighter and moister," and that one drives me crazy.
That does sound wrong.
Yeah, well, look it up. Anyway,
there's a
mine is anytime somebody says like, if I were talking about this podcast and I said like, "This is Chris Flip and I's podcast," like I hate that so much. Like I''S.
Well, because that's not.
This house is Morgan and I's house. That's coming up so much lately. Like so many people are saying that because their retarded English teachers said you always have to say
it's got to start with
person and I, rather than me and person.
Do you ever get caught in those things where so number one, in certain parts of academia, they think that whole concept of ending on a preposition is overly pedantic and wrong. And also the thing of like, where it's supposed to be me versus I. It's supposed to be I if you're the subject and me if you're not, that sort of stuff. But you go to type it to somebody and you go, I know this midwit doesn't know the actual rules. So do I just type out the wrong way because that will sound better to them? Or do I have to rearrange my sentence to make it awkward to not end in a preposition when I know that that's overly pedantic?
So the midwit take on it is that it can only ever be you and I. It can never be you and me or me and you. And I remember thinking that because that's what I was taught all growing up. I remember listening when I was in college. Morgan was listening to this Harry Styles song. It's not a terrible song. He's Harry Styles from One Direction, and the chorus is something like, "It will never change you and me," and I in my head I immediately he's stupid. He's saying you and me, and he's supposed to say you and I. And I was about to like type up some Facebook rant on how stupid it was because I liked making fun of Harry Styles. And then I thought about it for a half a second. I was like, oh no, he's right.
It's the pronoun. It's not
my retarded teacher was wrong in telling me that that's never correct.
Yeah, it's the direct pronoun, not the subject, the pronoun of the subject. Yeah.
Well, I was always annoyed by the Erasure song Hideaway because the title is the noun hideaway, one word, but in the song he says you don't have to hide away,
which is the verb. The verbs. That's wrong.
And so I'm like, wait a second, because I don't think he doesn't ever use the word hideaway as a noun in the song.
But the song could be about that hideaway that they go to, and he only talks about going to the hideaway.
Charles said, I got away with using moisty in a game of Scrabble once. I only remember that because my father-in-law reminds me every year that he regrets letting it slide, and I ended up winning.
Well, what about Wendell? Kyle Dunnigan's Wendell? Let me moisten.
Well, if you say it in like a Jew voice, of course it sounds kind of gross.
Yeah. I haven't even gotten...
let me moisten your whistle for you, sir.
I haven't gotten to my word yet, and my word is not in the sound of it. But if you listen to any period of time to a blowhardy somebody from a divinity school, they announce it from divinity school, and they're a little blowhardy, the word rich will come out within one or two sentences. They'll say something like, there is such a rich history of that is the word. They love that word, and it drives me crazy. There's such a rich... I mean, go see Jackson Washburn doing it, and then like look up how many times he said it before he went to divinity school.
I think I mentioned the word that pissed me off growing up the most was truthfulness. Because I was like,
bothered you?
Oh, for sure, truthfulness. I was like, that's such a clunky, clumsy, stupid word. It has two suffixes. There's got to be a different word for it. And then I learned Portuguese, and their word for it is veracidade. And of course, then I looked it up, and sure enough, veracity is a word in English. We could have been using that.
Like vericitude. Veracidade is vericitude.
Isn't it veracity? Veracitude in English?
Because vericitude a word?
In English, I think it's veracitude.
What about vericitudinous?
I don't know. I might not be right. We have to Google it.
No, but veracity is a word in English, and the veracity of the gospel, the truthfulness of the gospel.
Yeah, the verdad. Yeah, no,
varsitude. No, that's not a word. Veracitude.
That's what I. So Troy said, "Fun grammar trick: drop the conjunctive, and you'll use the correct pronoun easily. Give it to you and I is obviously incorrect. When reduced to give it to I. And that's what I did. That's the trick I used with that stupid Harry Styles song. I was like, wait a minute. It will never change I. Oh, no. So it can't be you and I. So it had to be, it will never change me. It will never change you and I, or you and me. So he's right. Fuck me. Oh, I almost did something so cunty and so wrong at the same time.
Man.
We're disembrominating these words.
Anyway, if you come across somebody from divinity school, wait for 3 sentences for the word rich to come out. Kaboom! Well, yeah, it's almost, we're somewhere halfway markish. Flip, do you have a booze corner before we get back to
No, I don't know. Yesterday I had my favorite beer that's available in America. I took a extra detour to the Brickyard Harmons because they're the only place in town that I know of that has Samuel Smith's Oatmeal Stout, which, again, it's only, I mean, for America, it's the best beer I can get. But even then, it's wrong because, like, it's 5% alcohol in America, and I'm pretty sure that the actual version they sell in Yorkshire is probably closer to 4 because that would be better. But Americans are dumb and just need ethanol.
Fuck yeah, we do. Why else would you drink alcohol, Flip? You're a maniac.
That thing is like, I was really tempted to go back to the UK this November, but I'm gonna try to be wise and save up a pile of money first. But I miss the beer there so much because, like, you can find 3% beer. In fact, most beer is 3%. Even like Budweiser in the UK is only 4.5% alcohol. It's 0.5% lower than in America, which, like, that's perfect. That's what it should be. But alas. In fact, in Iceland, you can buy 1%, 2%, and 3% beer. Like, which is like, I would buy 2% beer so happily. That'd be so perfect.
I'm such a normie alcohol consumer that I'm like, why would you do that? Why would you drink something that has alcohol in it if you didn't want to get drunk?
I'm that way too, and I don't even drink that much.
I don't. Well, that's the thing is, like, I don't want to get drunk. Like,
Flip likes the taste.
That's what I'm saying. If I didn't, you're literally the only person who said that I've actually believed. So.
Yeah, like, you know, like, I mean, there are times where I'm like, you know what, I'm going to have a bottle of wine tonight. And I know that I'm going to get, like, tipsy or whatever. But, like, I don't like getting all the way into drunk territory. It's just not fun anymore. Like, when I was younger, I had fun doing it. But now, like, literally it's just a headache. It's like, and it's not fun.
Does it last shorter for you? Like, as I felt I grow older, and maybe time just goes by faster to me, but I feel like
hangover
hour and a half longest.
No, like, starting, like, more than 10 years ago, I felt like I got to the hangover before I got to, like, the euphoria drunk. And it's like, yeah, and like, it's just not even worth it.
Yeah, see, at that point, I would just stop drinking alcohol altogether. Like,
no, this happened. I mean, it's one of the reasons I almost never do. Like the last 2-3 times, there was 2 times I tried to drink hard, felt nothing, had all the hangover. Yeah. So I got a bunch of gross taste, didn't get drunk at all, and felt like dog shit the next day.
And it's anytime I tell, like, people are talking about their favorite. I was talking with a bunch of friends, and Morgan was there. We were talking about our favorite types of liquor. When I was like, I like gin and then whiskey. Those are my favorite types of liquor. And then Morgan tried them for the first time. She's like, ew, you like these? I was like, well, okay, let me qualify this. When I say gin is my favorite type of liquor, what I'm saying is that gin is the least repulsive, disgusting, vomit-inducing type of liquor. It's all gross to me, and I would not touch it if it didn't get me drunk.
If you take tiny little sips of gin or whiskey, like I say, I treat it like it's perfume that goes in my face. Like, it's really, really good. Like,
I tried to when you brought that gin, I tried to taste it like.
And I still
Flip
have some of that. Gin. Like, I like that so much. Like, that bottle's like 5 years old, and yet I haven't finished it because I don't ever want to finish it because I love it so much, and I'll probably never see another bottle of it in my life unless I can get down to Oaxaca. But
that was good stuff, you know, for alcohol.
Risto chooses to write a lot as one word and chooses it. There's a lot of times where I go write and stuff where I'm purposely, well, I'm a terrible typoist, but there's plenty of other times where I go, I might choose the wrong thing here because I think it'll sound better to the person I'm writing it to. And maybe that's wrong. Maybe it's stupid to think that way anyway. But is that all the booze?
Yeah, it's plenty of booze.
Autistic hero of the week, real quick.
Hell yeah.
Real quick, and then get back to we're gonna get deep into philosophy and philosophize stuff and get super, super smart.
We might even learn about some fallacies tonight.
Yeah. Let's see here. Check this kid out. If I can find him.
Okay, this is my kid.
That's really good. Do Playbill.
Wow.
Helvetica. What the hell, Helvetica?
Why does it call it Helvetica?
I don't know.
Oh,
Do Script MT.
what does MT mean?
I don't know.
This is amazing.
You know?
Oh, that's
Oh,
amazing.
that is just fantastic.
I think it's something type thing.
Do Ariel.
This kid's not even thinking about it.
Jokerman.
Can he do wingdings?
I think he does all of them, man.
Dude, that's not like. Because my dad is a calligrapher.
Really
My dad
good.
was a calligrapher,
Do Century Gothic.
and I've always had terrible handwriting. Jeez.
Do Carrington. Dude, that is so
Jesus Christ.
That is
Lucida. Do like the Caesar's Palace one. Egyptian. How do you do that?
He's just so fucking
Do
fast.
Old English.
My God, he's amazing.
Old English.
Wow. Dude, that's so
And he's holding it like a.
And he's just holding it in his hand like a fist, like a hot
Yeah.
dog that he's about to eat.
That is amazing.
Seriously, that's the kind of thing that my kid does all the time. He's insane. I message that account and ask him about hyperlexia. I bet he would tell you that his kid is obsessed. It's insane. When you look up, I don't even think hyperlexia is an official diagnosis, but when I go to like Facebook groups about it, all of the kids that I see have the exact same obsessions with numbers, symbols, patterns as Lucas does. And that kid's got it. I'll bet you anything.
Do you guys? I've talked about this before. Do you remember Dan Savage?
No.
He was like Neil deGrasse Tyson popular 2010, 11, 12 as being a sex therapist.
Oh, Christ.
Oh, yeah.
And he was all over the place everywhere. In fact, he probably has multiple podcasts where he's on with Neil deGrasse Tyson. And just think Dan Savage, Neil deGrasse Tyson, and Bill Nye the Science Guy. Like those three guys were on everything, everywhere, like all the time. And he was the Dan Savage dude who started the concept of like, don't yuck my yum and all that sort of stuff. And he started pushing for people to try it once before you say you don't like it, or try it twice before you say you don't like it, to tell people to get into polyamory or something like that. Try it twice before you say you don't like it.
Does that work
Just
with
go try it
everything? Because like anytime somebody, I've heard people say that, and anytime they say that, I'm like, okay, what if what I'm into is shitting on you? Like, what if what I want to do is just
So
take
100% in that, if you go back and look at his advice column, yes, shitting on you would be one of the things he says. Try it.
So
twice
if I want to take a dump on my wife,
if your spouse wants to try it,
and I write into him, I'm like, my wife really won't do this, but it's my yum and she's yucking it. He would be like, she actually needs to just give it a shot once. Like, what's it gonna hurt?
Yes, no, twice. That's it. He 100% said, like, if your spouse is into something, that you kind of owe it to them to try it twice before you say you don't like it, which would include up to like a polyamory type stuff and that sort of deal. And I didn't even like really think about it, but I went and decided to like look up if he was as credentialed as Helfer, and he doesn't have jack squat and never did have any jack squat. And this guy was everywhere as the world's sexologist, sex psychology columnist, dude, for a long time.
Well, the guy that tells you try anything once, sexually speaking, with your spouse, like even if he's credentialed, you can just dismiss everything he says. Because I don't know if it's something like, I really like reverse cowgirl, but my wife doesn't want to do it, and I feel like a therapist could be like, "I want you to just try it out once. If you don't like it, then just don't do it again." You know, that
But
would
can
be
you say that's
somewhat
like-
reasonable. That's pretty reasonable. But if it's like, I really want to like fuck the neighbor,
Try it
he
twice.
says, just try it
twice
once,
before you say you don't like it.
and then if you don't like it, you can say, all right, I didn't like that very much, and it'll just go completely back to normal. It'll go back to exactly the way it was before he fucked the neighbor twice.
Yeah, well, there's something about it. Like I feel like there's a sensibility you have. Like if you deconstruct some stuff, or you come out as gay, or you come out as some of those identities, it suddenly bequeaths upon you magical advice giving or finger wagging abilities or something like that. And this is the guy. If you remember, I brought this up before, but they took him because he was such a popular dude, and they made a sitcom out of his youth. And this was coming on, I think it only lasted a year or something before it got canceled, but it was coming on after Modern Family, you know, that place where they were totally social engineering the entire United States through that entire time. But you can see right there, he's like, oh, I'm an Irish Catholic. And the show was like one of the most religious shows you'd seen on like a network show. But of course, they have a gay kid come out through like the religious family, you know what I mean? But I noticed when I was watching the show that the first episode or two are fine because it's kind of just like a kid being like, I'm really scared to say I'm gay. Okay, oh my gosh, I'm gay. And everybody found out he's gay, like, oh my gosh. But then they were pretty accepting of him, except his mom had a hard time because they're religious. Anyway, episode 3 about through 47, he realizes that because he came out as gay, he is now the world's not just therapist, like he is the lecturer on all things of everything, you know. This, like, as soon as you come out, you're the person who gets to tell, you have all wisdom, you're the all-knowing wisdom of the earth, who's there to everything you do. And it was one of the first areas I started like noticing that like somebody felt like just because you get like some sort of like lefty politics or something, you are now the world's lecturer. You are I mean, basically what Maven is. I just saw a clip from her on, this was out of the blue, it was from Divas, but
Yeah, me too.
You just saw one?
A couple.
Do you think it's the same one?
It might have been.
There's like, this was just totally in the wild. I was just like scrolling through the Twitters, and let me see if I can find it. Maybe not. Oh, I swear I saved it.
It's somewhere for sure.
I saved it. It was...
NCAA President Charlie Baker reported that out of more than 510,000 student athletes competing in NCAA sports, fewer than 10 are transgender. And I think that's really important. It will never not piss me off when a rapist can pretend to be protecting women and children by banning 10 children from playing sports and act like that is some kind of win for womanhood, win for protecting us. It's bullshit. And it will never not be bullshit.
It only happens a couple times. That's a great argument, Maven.
Not that that's even true, that it's only that many times, but
yeah, like, I don't even believe that there's only 10. I don't believe that. Like, that's some kind of crazy number massaging for sure.
Yeah, inside of that sort of number stuff, but the scolding on all that sorts of stuff.
So I just got a message that I'm getting called into work early tomorrow, so I'm gonna bail even earlier than usual.
Gay.
No.
Tell him no.
I wish I could. It's like I get a bonus for putting up with this shit, but I'm starting to get ready to be like, I think I'd rather not put up with this shit. But whatever. I get paid more. I gotta be happy.
I'll enjoy.
And that's the thing. And tomorrow I might. It's the scary one where I might see horrible, scary things. Like
horrible, scary things.
Because I have to go into the gross pathology room at the hospital a few times a day, and sometimes you go in there and there's just a leg or an arm just on a table. It's just and with a couple of pathologists slicing it up and doing whatever that is pathologists do.
See,
like, and there's no warning. Thing is, like, what's nice is because like there's a special room where in maternity where, like, you know, they put like placentas and stuff and maternity lab stuff, and on the door they've got this little thing on the door, and it hasn't ever happened to me yet, but I was warned that, like, if there's a little picture of a butterfly on the door, that's to tell you that there's a dead baby in there.
Oh, geez.
And yeah, like, I'm laughing because it's just kind of horrible.
Yeah.
But, yeah, just like, yeah, and I'm like, you know, I hope it never happens to me, but I'm glad they told me about that. Like, yeah, that's just to let you know, like, brace yourself.
I wish I could introduce you guys to Morgan's gynecologist, because he's such a geek. When he delivered the baby, he picks up the placenta while, like, Morgan's like sobbing and holding her newborn child that she's just loving. Look at this. This is your placenta. This is the part that's stuck to your uterus. And if I cut this open right here, this weird veiny stuff is what fed the baby. And he's just holding it up. And we're like, oh, nifty.
Yeah, maybe I wouldn't be able to handle that.
Oh, that's not a big deal. It is cool. He's just geeking out about it. But
yeah,
I'm all depressed because I got to go back into work on Monday for the first time in 3.5 weeks.
Oh, man.
I know you've probably mentioned it before, but the other day I realized, like, you're literally Homer Simpson.
Yep.
You are the nuclear safety guy.
That's exactly what I tell people when they ask me what I do.
Have you ever accidentally brought like a uranium thing back?
Well, like we do D&D mostly. So the place I was at before, yeah, Dungeons and Dragons. So before we mostly did repackaging of old waste that wasn't packaged correctly, or we would package nuclear waste. So it was fairly low level, and now we're like just deconstructing like prototype submarines and aircraft carriers for the Navy, and it is incredibly low level stuff. So I'm not ever going to bring anything back to my family.
And, like, isn't there a basic safety protocol where you guys, like, walk out the door, walk through a detector that lets you know if you're...
Yeah, anytime we have like a radiological area set up, you have to, if it's a contamination area, you have to do like a full body frisk. Like, either you can step in a personal contamination monitor, which is like you just stand in it for a minute and a half and it reads you, or you take like one of the little meters and just slowly wave it along your entire body to make sure there's nothing there. It's never been something I've been worried about. But if you're just in like a radiation area, it's not like you don't take any of those isotopes with you because they're not physically on you. They're just, you know, radiation shooting through your body.
Didn't we already say on here before that? Did you know that if you ate a cake of uranium, you'd get 6 million calories? That's the new thing that we're selling today.
We actually
a bodybuilder pro, like weight gaining pro.
I actually have a friend that works in a facility in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, who said that on Tuesday, this researcher, she's working in like a fume hood, and she breaks this vial, and it just like splats on her face, and so she gets 23 million disintegrations per minute of contamination on her face, which is pretty fucking high. A contamination area is posted at like 1,000 DPM, and she got 23 million right on her face, and they decontaminated her down to 1 million, and now she's been quarantined for a while on site.
I like they called me and left me a message saying I had to cover for something else, and then they just set out a stat begging for help to cover for me. It's just like, well, why did you just have somebody else cover for them and let me be me? But nope.
Were you working tomorrow anyway?
Yeah.
Oh,
No, like,
are
because like
you
my
just reliable or something? Is that the
kind
reason?
of well that too, because like that's why I get a bonus. Is that my job is that I have to be prepared to take over anybody else's job, and because that thing is like when I don't have to do anybody else's job, my job is embarrassingly easy most days. Sometimes they have me do pain in the butt stuff, but like yesterday I just spent 4 hours going around Weber County. Got to spend a little time at the animal shelter, which is partly sad, but also partly fun. Oh, that's the thing I was going to mention. I went to the animal shelter once a few weeks ago to pick up some dead animal, and I went in there, and there was a Mormon missionary petting cats, and I'm
And
like,
that's his job.
My mission was talking to crackheads and schizophrenics on the streets of Chico. This guy went on the mission where he pets cats.
Unironically, I saw just today, like a Facebook reel of a sister missionary wakeboarding, like in full missionary garb with a Book of Mormon holding it up. And I was like, what the hell? It was not AI, I swear to God. And I was like, you guys could do anything.
Yeah, things are different now. But all right, I'm going to bail because I got to go to bed.
Alrighty.
Get up real early. Goodbye, everybody.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Where to?
What? My ChatGPT is not working now. Anyway.
Was it being gay?
Yeah, so I don't have any of my own ideas, so I'm done. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know if these slides are very much more, but I kind of wanted to talk annoyingly about identity stuff a little bit because the Young Turks, man, not the Young Turks, the Lotus Eaters guys over there in old England have been so hardcore into immigration stuff lately. And then, of course, I mean, it's a big deal here right now, too. I don't between all the Epstein stuff and all the Russiagate stuff, cooking under it is still like maybe the biggest thing at the times is all the immigration arguments, right? So all this stuff came up about gerrymandering this week. Did you see anybody spazzy doodling about that?
Yeah, I know people are pissed off that Texas is trying to gerrymander, but not pissed off that California is trying to do the exact same thing, even though it's written into California's state constitution that they can only do it once every 10 years, redistrict. And Gavin Newsom is like, oh, we're going to do it now anyway.
Yeah. But every single state's done it to some extent. I mean, it's all over Illinois, all over New York. So I use the chat GPT, which who knows how much you can trust it or not, to ask who ultimately benefits from gerrymandering. Like if all gerrymandering were eliminated, who would come out ahead? And it said it would slightly favor nationally Democrats if all gerrymandering, according to that. And I said, what if you removed all illegal immigrants? He says, oh, Republicans.
Well, no shit. That's insane to me that they can't vote, but they count for the census count for the amount of seats you get.
I didn't understand for the longest time that had anything to do with anything. I didn't know that the census made the amount of people in the House. And the first day I heard it, I was like, oh, I didn't, because for years I was like, why did Democrats just want to load the country up with people? Why does that help them? Their kids will grow up to be Democrats in 40 years or something like that. And I didn't even get this thing about the census. And the second I heard it, whenever I first heard it, I was just like, oh gosh, okay,
Yeah, it all makes sense.
Yeah, and it's really weird because, of course, you see people all over. Oh, I don't know if I have the thing of it. I'm sure you've seen it. Just people spazzing, saying, "We're in crazy times. This is Hitler times because these guys are gerrymandering to steal our constitution." We saw our boy Seth saying all that too, and those people from Texas ran away from the state to.
That's because Seth says all of the dumb things.
Yeah, there's all the hot takes now. But those people from Texas ran away to vacate and not have to be forced to vote on it. And that was actually a felonious action. So they started threatening them that they would actually charge them for it. And then, of course, they're saying they're just trying to save our democracy. And you look at that whole entire thing and you can go, so you're obstructing the actual legal process to save the day, committing felonious acts. And now you guys are arguing the other end of that. Like, how is it that different from January 6th? Flip around. And it just because the gerrymandering, it goes like both sides gerrymander the crap out of stuff, right? Both sides, there's just so many things that are obviously like both sides 100% do this. So like I almost always try to avoid being the one saying only your side does this when it's just obviously not. And that sort of thing drives me crazy. But the gerrymandering thing got me all thinking up in my head, also because Troy and everybody were talking about philosophical ideas. So we're now, once again, we have to go back to the discourse of the chair. Plato's forms and all that stuff. So you remember like the whole concept of Plato's forms? And
kinda.
So if you think about it, Plato's trying to describe what gives something an identity, right?
Okay.
And that's why I'm sitting there staying on the Jackson Washburn idea. But he kind of thinks that like this is why idealism all comes from Plato, because it's talking about the ideal, and the forms are the ideal. They are the thing floating out there in the universe of that's God is like maybe the idea of the perfect form of us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So somewhere out there, the perfect form of a cup is, and that cup embodies all that is cup.
I thought you said cuck at first.
There's that too. Like the perfect cup exists out there, and the perfect cup. Oh, we'll go with the yellow, the concept of yellow. And so, according to Plato, somewhere out there is the yellow. The yellow is out there existing as a form, almost kind of like a god out there, just like God of man is out there existing as a form of human. You know. And so the perfect yellow is out there, and every other yellow in the world is kind of attempting to be that yellow a little bit, but failing it. And so every single yellow, you're comparing it to the ideal. Like, is that the yellow? It's a pretty good yellow, but it's not the yellow. And I think that's I think that was a creative philosophical thing. I don't think that's one of those philosophies that you can like pull out of your arse of thinking it like that. But I think it's kind of bullshit. You know, it's kind of like hokey to think, you know, especially like all the different forms in the world. So if there is almost like a sociological concept of something, the form of it exists or then exists, you know. The perfect song is out there, or the perfectly played song is out, the perfect cookie. But
I don't know, it varies depending on what you're talking about, because the perfect song, I think, would be a difficult thing. Because that would be actually sad once you actually find the perfect song. If that were to be a thing, then like, why would anybody write songs after you find that? But I would say, I don't know, something like the perfect dad exists out there somewhere. Like somewhere in the ether, there's a concept of the perfect dad, and that makes sense. And what you ought to do is try to reach that perfect dad. That's basically what Jesus is to Christians.
Well, yeah, I love the concept of like that idealism, except for like taking it sort of literally as Plato might have taken it or something. And then Plato would put like God not just as the perfect form of the man. He put God even kind of one step beyond that, because he encompasses all the things and all the ideas and all the ideals. But everything else is just kind of like a shabby form of what the perfect ideal is. But it's great to sit there and think in any given context of like, what is the ideal? And so much of what current day leftyism is the rejection of any sort of idealism or used in that sort of way. Like there is no perfect or normal or whatever sort of thing. And so what's kind of weird about all that is Aristotle. So when people are talking about philosophy, if you hear about like Neoplatonism or Platonism, whenever people talk about that, it kind of encompasses all of Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle. Because, and then people kind of followed after that, names you might know, like kind of like early century famous people. Aquinas kind of brought it back out, but I forget, like one of those old kings or stuff like that, or the Plotinus, the guy who kind of started kept Neoplatonism going. But it's really weird because Aristotle and Socrates and Plato don't think exactly the same way on everything. So you see people talking about Platonism, but Platonism is kind of more just people who discuss this stuff, but they don't think exactly the same. So Aristotle comes out.
Sorry, this is breaking news from Troy. Breaking news for anyone who's got a bet. Looks like they just threw a purple one onto the court in the Atlanta-Chicago game.
Guys, I just made $1 million. I just made $1 million, and I am quitting podcasting.
Sorry, I interrupted you. I felt
I
like
got my nut.
I felt like it was very important.
No, it wasn't important. I mean,
of course, we gotta stop your deep philosophical rant to talk about.
It's not deep. I think what the point is, like I say with all this philosophical stuff, is I think it's not so deep, but it's kind of just like dispelling it when people try to like make it all deep. But so I think that whole idea of idealism is a fun thing to think about. But Aristotle came at that from the exact opposite direction, and I was just kind of going on a tangent of how you could get confused when people talk about Platonism because it could include both of them, but they have a lot of opposites.
Is it kind of just that the best philosophy isn't all that deep? Like,
yeah, well, I really think, although that, just like I said, that, as I was saying, like this week, so many different philosophical things we kind of think of along the way. But when I think of that concept of the forms, I don't think any random person dreamt that thing up.
Sure.
I think it's fun or interesting, but that's kind of like, wow, where'd you come up with that, Plato? You know, Proclus was a Platonist dude who wrote a commentary on Euclid. Yeah, there was all sorts of Platonists. But yeah, so usually when you hear a Platonist later, it includes like all Plato, Aristotle, and Socrates. Who knows if Socrates? There's less proof that Socrates is real than that Jesus was. But
yeah, Socrates. Does Socrates ever disagree with Plato?
No, but I think
Plato writes all of his shit.
Like if you see one of those TikToks where Cara Burrell argues with herself, that was basically what Socrates was for Plato. Just somebody standing and making a straw man argument and arguing the other side of it. But Aristotle thinks like the way you come up with yellow is the opposite of that. It's kind of like take all the yellows together, and from all of that you start piecing together what yellowish is. You know, it's ground up more. You know, it's come from the all the data together. And Troy was just kind of mentioning that he feels a lot of stuff like with AI and all the ways able to compute all that sort of stuff, that it seems to be a kind of ultimately debunking the Plato side of the Platonism and backing up the Aristotelian idea that it's kind of more emergent from all the different things kind of grouped, just the same way you might look at a spectrum or something like that. And somewhere along the spectrum, you stop and like we were talking, well, that's where it's green. And
yeah.
And we can ask each other like where it's green or where it's not. But the reason I'm even just talking about that is this thing by Jackson Washburn, because there's a lot of talk lately about bringing back up the old gods and the strength of the old gods, and some of what the old gods that they're talking about is the stuff that these guys just automatically assume is Nazism and wasn't ever Nazism. You know, it's such like a weird thing about the concept of stuff. Nazism is like an extreme form. It's like an extreme, not the idolized form of nationalism, nativism, or you know, that sort of thing. But the Lotus Eaters have just been going crazy because they had this whole debate of like, what's an Englishman? You know, so it's like the debate of what's a chair, what is an Englishman? And obviously, people over there are going around saying, an Englishman is just basically the kind of like what's an American, and we brought it before, like an American you can kind of make more of an argument that it's people who came here for that ideal, right? Or not the ideal, like that ideal philosophy, you know?
Yeah.
More than was a people or a type of person or something like that.
But then it would be people who as close as they can subscribe to that ideal. So there would still be such thing as an American.
Yeah. So there's an American. And so one of the things they're bringing up a whole lot is like, if all these Mexicans come over or Ilhan Omar comes over and they identify as Americans, or they call them like paperwork Americans, like, but they actually call themselves still a Guatemalan or still a Mexican or still a.
Yeah. Who's that? Is that congresswoman who kind of blew up last week.
Ramirez or something.
Yeah, for calling herself a Guatemalan first.
Yeah. Risto says Kid Rock is the platonic ideal American. We are all aspiring to Kid Rockness. Yeah. So
here I was thinking we were all aspiring to Mavenhood.
Yeah. So, I mean, they just had like this little thing where they talked about, well, what's an Englishman? And one of their conservative people just basically gave kind of like an American answer, you know? Well, an Englishman is whoever comes here with the liberal ideals, you know? And of course, like all those guys are going nuts. Like, no, that's not what an Englishman is. And I saw Stephen Hicks kind of like write a thing kind of backing up James Lindsay and all that stuff. And I think a lot of stuff James Lindsay's said is made some more sense lately, just in the sense of like watching Fuentes and Tucker and Candace and just what the hell are you guys doing? But then Hicks and those guys go after Sargon and those guys. And this is one of the points, I mean, I've been making forever, but I think it is different when you're talking about England and Ireland than when you're talking about America, you know? And
somewhat, yeah, because I don't know, America was kind of founded as an idea, but also I don't know, it's tough to say because so I feel like the Lotus Eaters are trying to get at that. Like they're trying to sort of have their cake and eat it too when it comes to defining an Englishman. Because Sargon, I feel like if you asked him in isolation what defines an Englishman, he'd say like an Anglo-Saxon white dude or whatever. Or at least sort of allude to it being like somebody of Anglo-Saxon descent.
Mm-hmm.
But then you've got a lot of guys in the Lotus Eaters who don't fit that.
Yeah.
Who he would definitely call Englishmen.
Sargon doesn't. Sargon's grandpa's Italian.
Oh, is he?
Yeah. And the other one who's like the super hardcore guy, academic agent, his dad's Iranian. You know, and he's like a super hardcore, like one of the most hardcore, identity right guys, you know. And I started watching him or listening to him, and I just kind of think he takes the line of like whatever is Jew is bad, and but he's really smart, like as far as having read a whole bunch of people. But when I start to think about the types of alignments that they talk about that must be blood deep, or could it be an ideology deep? But at the same time, too, is like their arguments aren't bad, that people aren't coming here and really giving an oath to those ideologies. You know, they are keeping their identities is the problem, and supposedly you're supposed to give that identity up to the door, but you have people like Jackson Washburn here standing up and ripping up his thing for anybody who even whiffs of talking about an identity that's, you know, what Mormon? What is it? A Mormon, a white Mormon, a white Utah Mormon? Like if even whiffs it at all, he'd say, "This isn't part of my rich history of the tapestry of the tapestry."
Jackson is basically the den mother washed version of ChatGPT, where if somebody told him I'm proud to be black, he'd be like, awesome. And if somebody told him I'm proud to be white, he'd be like, hold on a second there, pal.
Yeah, well, there's some areas because like James Lindsay and Stephen Hicks, who I love and I love forever, and just for how much knowledge that they're able to take in and read and all that sort of stuff. But I think, just like I said before, I think they're wrong lumping in European, you know, thinkers in with American thinkers. But at the same time, too, there has to be some sort of level here in America that, like, if we're going to be playing that game, we have to be demanding that game of the people who come in, you know. And that game is that you too are supposed to drop your nativist, your hardcore nativist, or for this nation, you can become a nationalist or something like that. But you guys aren't dropping your Mexicanism. You guys are cheering for Mexico. You're coming to America and we want you to be American. Cheer for America when they play Mexico. You're an American now.
Yeah.
You guys still view yourself as Mexican. You're going around there with Mexican flags all over the place, and maybe Mexican American. I don't know if something like that, but anything that is viewing itself as American It's baddie. It's Cartman. It's the bad. It's got a bad mean. You're a bad mean dad, bad terrible man, and you really can't grab onto it or hold on to it. But strangely enough, for the Irish people and the English people, they don't have as much of a taboo of holding on to whatever it is in their place, and they still can't do it. Like they still can't do it without being called bigot, racist, homophones. But I think it's so weird that people are telling Englishmen and Irishmen that they can't say that there's an ethnos to their traditional, just like a Japanese guy. Like,
well, because the ethnos is white. I've actually explained this. I've explained to several people who, I just call them normie lefties, that like, okay, if you go to Japan, there are several bars that are just for Japanese people, and if I, as a tourist, went there and tried to go into one of these Japanese bars, they tell me no. Are they bigoted assholes for that? And usually they'll be like, oh no, it's their country. They can do, that's their thing. They can do that. And I say, okay, what if a group of white people did that? And it's immediately, they understand that there's a double standard, but they sort of try to weasel their way into special pleading for the double standard.
Yeah, but maybe this nation was founded on not having to have that sort of a, or at least like as Aristo says there should be a broad or path to the citizenship thing here too. But we aren't holding them to what we should be holding them to if that is what we are.
Yeah, it feels like maybe at the very least you should learn to speak English. That's a pretty low fucking bar. Just learn to speak the language. At least, within the first 20 fucking years that you live here.
Well, it does seem like they're just like it used to be that you had to have some sort of oath that said you would be loyal to America and knew something about the founding fathers or something like that. But are you really truly committed to the liberalism or the idea of the individual rights above all other rights? And do you want, like, shouldn't there be some sort of way that we can really mandate that you prove that sort of thing? But just like, so if you go around demonizing any sort of white people who obviously lash back and start grabbing to the same type of identitarianism because you pushed it on them and pretended like you don't know what you were doing with the woke stuff, like they should have called it identitarianism instead of the word woke, because they're able to dodge it by using that word woke. Didn't we used to just call it identitarianism a little bit? Their left-wing identitarianism.
Yeah, for a bit.
Yeah, I mean, was it or not? But
I mean, we called it a lot of things.
Yeah. I don't know. This guy was talking about it here.
Talk about black people is the same way that they would talk about wild animals.
The
way liberals talk
stuff. Hold on.
About black people is the same way that they would talk about wild animals. With zero mention of free will, and as if every behavior was just a reaction to a stimulus. The reason for the fatherlessness is mass incarceration and welfare, both of which are caused by systemic injustice, which is really caused by slavery. So the reason that you're a shitty, loser, coward, deadbeat dad is actually 1,000 reasons other than you. The reason for these dysfunctional communities in 2025 is actually because of towns that were burned down 100 years ago. The crime is because of poverty. The gang culture is because of economic desperation. Rioting is because of injustice. That brick through the window is because of the exuberance of the moment. And the twerking on the police car is actually a defiant reaction to systemic disenfranchisement. Are we talking about people? Because how is that any logically different than saying, well, the coyote bit you because it was hungry. It was hungry because there wasn't enough food. There wasn't enough food because of the environmental conditions. So don't blame the coyote. And then they'll say that you're being dehumanizing because you said colored instead of person of color. Yet they'll describe black people with an anthropology devoid of people, where everything is the involuntary result of a system of causes except for the people themselves. And then every proposed solution sounds exactly the same, by the way. Turn up the welfare state and turn down the policing, and maybe the subjects will stop procreating out of wedlock. Even though it's been 100 years, maybe if we keep changing the outside conditions, it'll change the behavior. And ironically, that helpless, inhuman ideology itself becomes a cause, so that people will keep looking to the system for a solution. But it's pretty obvious the damage and cultural decay that perpetuates. If the Black community put in the same effort it did policing white people's opinions that it didn't like, with policing fatherlessness and gang culture, then their children wouldn't be the most murdered demographic in the country. Because
well, that wasn't what I meant, but I mean, it's kind of just going like along the same lines. It's like, what are we demanding of I mean, two-tier demands, or the George Bush thing of the bigotry of low expectations on people, or type stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost at this point like cringe to point out the double standard.
Yeah,
because it's almost like when you point it out, people will be like, "Oh yeah, we know. Here's why it's justified."
Because they're oppressors. So you can't say, "Hey, Mexican, try to, if you're coming into our country and you want to be a part of it, we accept you, but you put your Mexicanism second." You know, which it did seem like it was like. It seemed like it was like that when 80s and 90s and stuff like that. I've said before, I say it again. When I went on my mission and started learning Spanish, I was shocked to realize that some of my friends' last names were straight up Spanish names. Like, and then I stopped and think about, oh, he totally is a Latino. Like, I didn't even they didn't even register to me like that.
Yeah, I definitely would not have pegged Streeter as being a Latino last name.
No, that's Streeter. Calledor. Jonathan Calledor. Let me see here. No, I meant to show, because that was a little off topic of what the one I meant to show. I meant to show this one.
Here's basically what happened with politics for anybody not paying attention. Over the past 50 years, the left has done everything in its power to dismantle the idea of an objective universal morality and replaced it with a morality based in identity and power dynamics. That's what intersectionality really is. You'll notice this to be true because the groups that they'll really hold fully morally capable for their actions are the groups they believe to be in power. So white people, Christians, men, any marginalized group insofar as they're marginal.
And you can put the Jews in there too, like Israel. Well, depending on who the other side is at any given moment,
Not held to the same standards because they're not in control of the narrative. And so there's this subtle switch from morality being some universal guiding thing to being really a tool of political struggle, which is super, super Marx coded, although here it is mapped onto identity characteristics instead of class. And then what happened, not for the first time in history, is a lot of people on the right, not me, said, oh, okay, we'll play this game, but we're going to play it in exact opposition to you. Morality is subordinate to identity and power dynamics, sure. Then what we think is right is to impose power dynamics as an identity group. It's the same thing, but opposite. It's very not hard to see. And the left doesn't really have much of a recourse to argue, at least not to any standard that would hold weight according to their own worldview. They literally admit that they think morality is just preferences imposed as social constructs. And then they're surprised that other people have different preferences they would like to impose as social constructs. Less immigration, less abortion, the interests of their group as a collective. It's the same game, just played in the opposite direction. The only difference is the power to actually enforce and enact those things, which it's like talk about throwing out the baby with the bathwater. You know what I mean? The only good resolution to any of this would be an appeal and a recognition of a universal moral standard that transcends the preferences of any particular group.
Based.
Yeah, so one last one from him.
Are the result of their culture and their conditioning, which is ultimately shaped by their historical and material conditions. So you can't just look at a group of people who are burning stuff down and robbing people and shooting people all the time in large numbers and say, oh, they should just do better. They should just hold each other accountable. You have to consider the circumstances that led up to people doing that, unless we want to be ignorant of history. So it's not like colonizers just did that for fun, right? You can't just say, oh, William shouldn't have burnt that hut down. It's like, no, he was just doing what his environment conditioned him to do. It's incredibly silly to just look at his actions and say, oh, he did that without context, okay? Without socioeconomic factors considered. He was born into a cycle of that kind of behavior from a very young age. That's what he was taught to do. That's how it works, right? That's how, at least I've heard. Guys, people...
I don't know. Just what I'm saying, like, what is an American? So number one, like, I think when people like start talking about woke right stuff or something like that, I don't like the oppressor, like Marxist angle of it. But I don't think you can come at the Europeans as hard about not being a melting pot as you can. Like, I think they have somewhat of a claim of being like, no, we were always this, and we can still try to be this if we want to be this. You know what I mean? But then here in the U.S., so much of, I mean, we've mentioned it before, like, we pretend like there wasn't ever any strife, but like every single group that came over went through the same hell a little bit. Like the Irish came over, they went through a hell. The Italians came over, they went through a hell, and were called the rowdy bunch of criminals who, you know, or whatever. But at some point, like, you got to all start holding them to the same standard that we expect the standard to be, or like, what are we doing?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and maybe some of that standard is just having some, not oikophobia, but some, you know, love for the place a little bit, and maybe it's our call, or, you know, our school systems that do it.
Well, they're even worse about it in the UK than we are. Like, they'll let a migrant rapist out of jail pretty quickly because, like, well, you didn't understand the culture. You understand that in our culture it was wrong to lure 7-year-old girls into a van.
Yeah. Risa says Cortez was a victim. yeah, totally. But I mean, that's one of those things that don't ever make sense about their determinism arguments, which, I mean, it's the same for, like, as he's pointing out with like the postmodern or the identity stuff, is people always try to say the postmodernists will just destroy all paths, except then you lean for supposedly the people who you've declared the oppressed. And that's just always the answer, and that carves such canyons of differences. That's what Dan McClellan still tries to say. Look, I only have a dogma by leaning one way for the oppressed. That's not just a little bitty thing that just kind of makes you kind of slightly have a limp to the left side or something like that. That steers you like all the way off the path into something totally different. But I don't know, thinking about what an American is and what an English person is and what the West is, and so much of like these ideas are just knee jerk. If you say you like nations at all, it's Hitler. Like, it really does kind of push to that level. Like, if you say you like any sort of ethnos identity at all, it's Hitler, and everything's Hitler.
No, it's not even ethnos identity. It's, at this point, it's culture. Like, you can say one culture is better than another, and you're Hitler.
Yeah. Risa says the immigrants' kids are taught to be at the schools to dislike their country. Yeah, and there's like a whole part of me that thinks like the Lotus Eaters will sneer at that, like, just a couple years in school, you can't change them around on it or something like that. But I don't know, it's not like straight blank slate, you know, but there is some sort of thing. Like, could we have at least have tried a little bit? Could we at least have tried to just be like, hey, if you come over here, stop, take a moment to recognize that where you came from you didn't like so much. Try to think about why you might like it here, and this is what we are, and if you want to be a part of it, we want some proof that you really like us and like the whole idea, you know, like a job application or something like that. You know, nope, that's all Hitler eugenic bigot history or something like that, and it'll tear us up. Did you see some dudes? I might have it here. Yeah, I do. The EBT stuff you can't use for tweets anymore.
Oh, it's hilarious arguing.
Have you watched some of those?
Well, I haven't, but I've been over the last few months because, like, before it even came out, Idaho tried to pass that. Like, when they successfully passed it, basically saying, yeah, you can't use it for soda and candy anymore. And it's hilarious, the arguments that I would get into with people, because I'd be like, wait, you want charity money to go towards Skittles? That's insane. And they'd be like, it's none of my business what they do with that money. It's their money. But it isn't. It isn't at all. And it would come down to panhandlers even. They talk about, like, if a if you give a panhandler $20 and are frustrated that they spent it on drugs, then you're a piece of shit. I was like, but I don't want to give money to further somebody's shitty habit. Like if I'm giving money to somebody, I want it to do a good thing. Like I want it to feed a person who is otherwise hungry. And if it doesn't do that, then I'm not going to give it. And they acted like I was the asshole.
I sometimes feel so stupid. I don't realize like the fact that I didn't really realize like the side trick to getting immigrants in to increase your congressional seats. I'm like, why didn't like, because there's years I'm like, why do they want somebody here? And then the second you hear like, oh, and the years that I did not know, I assumed that it was just the healthy food that you could get a hold of for so long. I don't remember when, but it was way too old that I was like, wait, you can get what on that?
Well, it used to be a hell of a lot more gameable because it was actually stamps. And
oh man,
you could like go to a gas station. Like I've had friends that tell me they would, when they were kids, their parents would send them to the gas station to buy like something worth, I don't know, a very small amount of money for a large food stamp, and then they give it back in cash, and then they would buy cigarettes for their parents.
Oh my gosh. What if they stick to this so strong that give it 1 year and all the poor people just become shredded? They're just like, whoa, I feel better than ever. Oh my gosh. All I could afford was like white chicken. Well, all they would give me is white chicken and fruit every day. And man, I can jump, I can dunk. What would happen? You want to know what? If you really did, they could do the prison population or anything, but like I really could force feed people into becoming shredded. And,
or at least being, not obese.
No, there'd be not obese, but at the same time too, you had to eat only what I gave you, I could make you shredded.
Wouldn't you have to work out though?
No.
What?
No, you could become shredded like, you know how everybody always says they want to look like Brad Pitt in Fight Club?
Oh.
That's just way low calorie with just like kind of the muscles just from living as a normal dude at that age.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, if you think like one of the reasons I got into like crazy bodybuilding is I just kind of from growth spurts became naturally just psycho shredded as like a teenager, and I wasn't lifting yet. And then I realized I couldn't like just maintain it like that forever or something like that because it just didn't automatically happen. So then I got into it because I got crazy amount of attention from girls and they messed up my brain. No, it's their fault. Girls, it's always women's fault. But no, but without all the muscles are there, unless you're just a complete couch potato, all the muscles are there that if you shredded down enough, you'd probably look pretty close to Brad Pitt on Fight Club. But no, I mean, I guess that'd be part of the thing. Like, unless they're complete couch potatoes, I could get them shredded if I was able to sit there and feed them like Nurse Ratchet or something like that. But that'd be kind of wild though. But here's this guy.
That's the funniest part about my 600-pound life people. Like, they always have an enabler because they have to. If you want to get to 600 pounds, you actually have to have an enabler.
Oh yeah.
And Dr. Now would always ask him like, well, what are you feeding them if you're not an enabler? Like, well, he bitches and moans if he doesn't get Taco Bell twice a day. What's he gonna do? Bitch at you? Oh no! Like, just give him a salad. If he gets hungry enough, he's gonna eat it. Oh no!
Yeah.
Give him a chicken breast.
People always they'll bring it up because like you look at like America in those time frames we're talking about, and look at all of them. Like, this guy doesn't work out. You know what I mean? Just what he had available to eat to him was be generally ripped looking. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody was all way. Look how lean that whole population is.
I know.
Holy crap. Did you ever see that photo of, who is it, George Albert Smith or something like that?
Oh my God, yeah. I think it was Joseph F. Smith.
Was it?
The one that was shredded on the beach. But actually, you're right. It's George Albert Smith.
Was it?
Yeah. That's my fucking prophet right there.
Was it George Albert Smith on the beach? Just say on the beach.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm not pulling it. At least like not in Google Images.
Hmm.
Maybe I'll try Joseph F. Is George Albert?
I thought so.
No, it's Joseph F.
Hmm.
Here it is.
Look at that shit. How old was he right there?
He's way old too. But I guarantee you he was not sitting there doing bicep curls, man. Like, I promise you, if people just ate chicken all day, every day, they would look shredded. You know?
Jesus, he was born in 1838. This was 4 years before he died. Holy fuck.
What did he die of?
I don't know, being too Chad.
I'm so Chad, I can't take it anymore, man.
Said he was 80 years old. Oh, it was pneumonia.
Oh, I can see how that would get you. All
6 days after his 80th birthday. Jesus Christ, he was 76 in that picture right there. God damn.
So speaking about like the idealism and the thing that goes on in the mind of like a trans person, like they see in the mirror that their ideal thing is a whole different body. How is a dysmorphic bodybuilder who wants to use steroids and looks in the mirror, you'll even see people on that side call that gender affirming therapy or something.
Oh God, I know.
But why are their hormones illegal? Like, why can the whole trans thing just be going on as a medical thing, and the steroids people are breaking the law? You know, why was Hulk Hogan breaking the law?
Yeah,
it doesn't make any sense. Do you see that there's that guy who's trying to run the Juiced Olympics?
The Juiced Olympics.
Yeah, they really are making a Juiced Olympics.
I can't remember which. I don't remember which comedian it was, but he talked about like how we shouldn't get rid of steroids in professional sports. We should just have all of them use it because it'd be way more entertaining.
Yeah, well, it's called the Enhanced Games, and they're really doing it, and they got like some sort of like approval to do it. The Enhanced Games, and you want to know who's like the face of the whole thing? You might remember the dude. He was like one of those swimmers, the second to Michael Phelps, famous swimmer dude. Swimmer in the Enhanced Games, and he came out and said that like, yeah, I guess I'll do it or something like that. Enhanced swim, the U.S. Oh, what was the guy's name? You don't remember the guy who got really, really famous right at the tail end of when Michael Phelps was around?
I do not. Really, I only remember Michael Phelps because one of my friends was sort of Matt Bondi. That's what Steve said.
I think that's him. Hold on.
One of my friends was told that he looked kind of like Michael Phelps, and then he formed his entire identity around it. He joined the swim team.
Ryan Lochte.
Oh.
He's already like way retired, and he's joining up these Enhanced Games, and he's like beating world records on it. Maybe it wasn't Ryan Lochte, but I saw like a whole video on one of them. It's one of the famous guys, but Ryan Lochte was one of those famous swimmers. But yeah, there's one of them is joining it up. They're way retired, and he like did it on a bet, and so he said he would do it, and he went and got all juiced up, and he's like breaking all the records in that Enhanced Games thing, or something like that. But Brett and Heather Haying, because like so much of their book, they have that book called like Hyper Novelty, right? And so like the whole entire thing is how just our bodies just aren't ready to take on all these things that are around the world. You know, the sudden computers and the sudden, I don't know, random chemicals we're eating everywhere and all over.
I'd say even the sudden calorie surplus. Clearly really bad. Like if I don't know, like there's a lot of rooms I can join where I'm the least fat guy in the room. But if I were walking on that street in New York in the 30s, I would be considered the fattest guy alive.
Yeah, my grandpa, dead serious. I have a lyric in one of my songs about it. Like he was like 80-something years old. And he'd come around my house and he'd tell me to punch him in the stomach. And I'd punch him in the stomach and it'd break my hand. And because he was so shredded, like because he worked in a mine. He was a miner forever. You know, little short Irish miner guy. He was shredded until 85, like for real. Yeah. The swimmer in the enhanced games. Anyway, so one of the things that they were talking about is they were talking shit on that weird Mormon dude who's trying to do the super perfect life. What's that dude named? Brian Johnson or whatever?
Yeah, I have no idea.
That dude I was telling you about, he was like measuring his boners at night.
Yeah, I don't remember. But I remember you telling me that. I just...
So here it is.
The name of the guy.
Check this one out.
Have a new fastest time in the 50 freestyle. This is Christian diving in at the enhanced games. That means he's taking performance enhancing drugs to achieve what it looks like superhuman swimming. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. We're going to watch this race where he went the fastest time ever in a normal jammer swimsuit. Then we're going to watch it again where he did another race where he wore a full polyurethane bodysuit. You can see right here, 21.0. We've seen a few guys in the world rankings.
Oh, Jesus.
21 territory. But the real question is, with a polyurethane suit, can he go under 21 seconds? And if he can do so, he will win $1 million for breaking the world record. So the world record prior to this was set by Cesar Cielo back in 2009. 20.91. I'm going to give some critique. We're going to watch this again in a second, but I want you guys to look at how high he is riding on top of the water. The time to beat 20.91, $1 million riding on the line. Boom. 20.9. That is unbelievable. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. This is part of a bigger documentary that just rolled out. It's an hour long. I encourage you guys to go check it out. Be friendly and respectful in the comments. Have a valid discussion. That's really what I'm here reporting on this. And I just skimmed some.
Be respectful to those juicers. But I mean, there really is such a difference between juicing and not juicing. It's like unreal. Like people.
You said that guy's retired, right?
Yeah.
He's past his prime, and he just broke a world record.
He just broke his world record. The only reason he got into it is because he's well past his prime. And then I heard some story that he only got into it because basically audience capture. He was on like some podcast or something, and everybody's saying, go do it, go do it, go do it. And he said something like, oh, if I get so many subscribers or something, I'll do it, or something like that. And that's why he went and did it. And yeah, now he's breaking world records at it. And they put him as like the face of it because they're still advertising it, and they're going to go do this whole enhanced games. But I genuinely think, and I've always thought, like the level between like enhanced and not enhanced is probably close to the level of difference between trans athlete and regular athlete. And sometimes they shouldn't be playing against each other. But I used to like lament the idea that if you met some little kid and he's like, what do you dream about doing someday? And like, I dream of being in the NFL. And you go, well, kid, I believe in your dreams and anybody can get anywhere, but also if you really want that dream at some point, you will have to take steroids. But, you know, or because there's just no way you're going to compete up there with the guys on that. It'd be like trying, you know, telling a female that I just want to beat all the trans men in the world. And you know, but there's just such a difference between it. But no, anyway, Brett and Heather were just saying just the simple, idea of being a psychotic body maxer, like, you know, whatever maxing that dude is, that Brian Johnson dude. Brian Johnson. Is it Brian Johnson? Brian Johnson.
I'm sorry, friend. You're asking me questions about athletes. That is.
This guy's not an athlete.
So far away from my expertise.
This is dude here. He's an ex-Mormon. He's taking blood from his son and injecting.
Oh yeah.
Matt Bondi. Isn't that Pat Bondi? Please don't. This dude here.
True or false? You, Brian Johnson, the man sitting across from me, one day, at some point, as of yet undefined in the future, you will die.
False.
Tell me more.
Death has always been inevitable. And so we have made all these preparations. Like we talk about immortality, professional achievement. We talk about a life after death. And so there are the ways that we've dealt with it up to this point. And now we have this real possibility of extending our lifespans to some unknown horizon. So that's extension. But we also have the ability to begin moving our self to computational systems. So currently, in a very crude form, I have a Brian AI that has digested everything I've ever said.
You do currently have this?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah. And so as the technology gets better and it gets trained on more of my thoughts, it's only...
I don't care about what he actually thinks about doing. The guy...
but is that really immortality? Like, I feel like if you make an AI of yourself, even if it's a perfect replica, you still die, right?
Yeah, but that guy really actually thinks, and one of the things Brett and Heather are saying, that his maxing that he's doing will kill him earlier than if he didn't just live organically, like normally in life. They said your hyper novelty, what you're doing to yourself, you know, you're gonna kill yourself, you know. And I bet you that's true. Like I bet you all sorts of guys who smoke
ice diaper.
Yeah, Johnson, bright blue urine. Johnson recently added methylene blue to his regimen, a compound used medically as a dye and treatment, which has caused his urine to glow vivid blue. He joked he made it feel like Avatar. Ice diaper for men.
He uses an ice diaper to cool his pelvic region, an odd method aimed at regulating body temperature during his extensive morning routine. Counting nighttime erections. The device tracks the number of his nighttime erections, which he uses as a metric of youthful biological function. I guess that's a good metric. Electromagnetic wait, is that the more boners you get a night, the more...
It's indicators of health, I'm sure.
Oh, nice. Nice. That makes me feel better about
A Starbase Club says he'll live forever because he's still Mormon and he'll live eternal. I think he is ex-Mormon.
I actually have an ex-Mormon friend who, I don't know if he still believes it, but like years and years ago, he told us he legitimately thought he was going to live forever, just purely based on science.
Yeah. Well, Brett and Heather were saying that that's part of the hypernivity that's going to kill all those people earlier than if they just live normally. I tend to believe them. Maybe there's some things that we're going to figure out that will be longer lasting, but I bet you this guy kicks it before 60 because of the stupid shit he's doing. Yes, he's an ex-Mormon, it looks like.
I mean, the ice diaper wouldn't mesh well with the garments, I guess.
So anyway, like one of the weird things about categories and cutting off from categories and definitions, one of the things that Brett and Heather have gotten into a whole lot lately actually came from RFK. And it's the whole concept of when are you actually dead? And this whole thing has me a little freaked out. Like, have you heard the stuff of like RFK talking about all sorts of medical places everywhere had incentive to claim people who are dead who were not yet dead so they could start harvesting organs?
Yes. Yeah, that stuff is, I don't know. I had my crunchy granola family members telling me to not be an organ donor. And I was like, oh, fuck off. And then the more you hear about it, the more you're like, well, maybe.
Yeah, well, if it was enough to like it came out from like the Department of Health that they were talking about it, that it's been happening, that sort of stuff. But they're using like Foucauldian category jacking to talk about like death too, just the same way. Like, what's the area of real death or not death, or who's to say what death is or isn't death? And
did I send that?
Sort of is too.
I saw an article on a guy talking about like what we need to redefine death. I meant to send it to the group. Maybe I got it from you. I don't know, but like that was fucking insane to me. And I'm like, I don't know what to say on my license, but like if that keeps up and it turns out to all be kind of true, I'm going to tell my kids not to be organ donors.
Yeah. one of the things that Brett and Heather said that freaked me out was they don't trust vets that they're putting down animals. You know, they think they might harvest those or do some. Do you hear there was some like zoo that asked for all the small pets to feed?
Yes.
What zoo is that?
I don't remember what zoo it was. I thought it was mostly funny. I was like, hey, well,
were they joking?
No, they weren't joking. They were saying like, look, we'll euthanize them, and then throw their fresh carcass in so that the bigger animals can eat them.
Oh, they said euthanize them.
I think that's what they were saying. It's not like they're just gonna throw Charlie Brown into the fucking or Huckleberry into the
unwanted pets to feed 4 hours ago. Oh, it's on Fox News even. Peter Blowback, Denmark Zoo. What in the tarnation? If you have an animal that for various reasons needs to be rehomed, you are welcome to donate it to us. The animals are humanely euthanized by trained staff and then used as feed.
Why don't you just make them eat the bugs?
Chicken, rabbits, guinea pigs. Can you train predators into eating the bugs?
Yeah, I know. We should just be like, I don't know why you're freaking out about this, guys. Just have them eat the bugs. Steve said that must be what my parents did with Rex.
I feel like a comic is coming out.
Yep.
Yeah, I could see them. Oh man, I don't know, but like getting like the things that they can get Foucauldian about and start calling like oppressive, and then they start saying who's to say, what's to say, to almost always have some sort of ulterior bullshit motive behind it. Like there's always a bullshit motive. There's some of them that have like the true bleeding heart, and then there's so many others that just like they complain like most of the people in the green movement. They say they're watermelons. Like you guys are green on the outside, red on the inside. You guys are commies, and you're just using that as like an entry point for something. But I don't know. Ideas. I feel strange enough what I'm getting at with the whole entire thing. Maybe all the way back to Plato and Aristotle or not, or just talking with the Mormons and all this sorts of deal. But so much of what the difference between like the left and right is jacking with categories, jacking with identity and categories and categorizing for, and it's so weird that it's that. Like when it starts dawning on you that it's like all a battle for words and identities and things to get to the end of stuff.
It's all retarded.
It really does seem like a Wittgenstein scene in that and stuff. Like, are we just arguing over concepts to get to places? And
something like that.
It's jacked up. It's jacked up. That's the conclusion. It's jacked
up. Donate your neighbor's pets? My neighbor's got a couple of fucking dickhead huskies that I would love to donate to the zoo.
Oh man.
They tell you about like how differently I feel about animals after having kids.
Yeah, I hear that happens to a bunch of people. But then I see all sorts of people who still were crazy about their dogs and they loved how their kids started loving their dogs and stuff.
Yeah, I know, I get that. See, my cat that I have right now, she's my favorite pet I've ever had. Easiest pet in the damn world. We got a cat door for her. She goes outside when she needs to shit and piss. She comes in whenever she wants. She's real friendly, like super patient with the kids. She's amazing. I will be really sad when she dies. But like, I don't know. I was never like a super animal person, right? Like, but I always liked dogs quite a bit, and I understood dog people. And then after I have kids, like that second after I had my first kid, if you showed me like my childhood dog and was like, you can either flick your kid on the head or like break your favorite dog's jaw by ripping it open King Kong style. I'll be like, it's not even a question. I'll rape this dog before I hurt my kid. Are you fucking kidding me right now?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard. I think I said Penn Jillette said, you know, he used to worry about like animal testing on some sort of stuff, And then the second he had kids, he's like, I will murder every single monkey in the earth, but like rip its face off to save my daughter.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't like animal testing. Like I don't think you should torture animals and shit like that. But like my mom's dog recently bit my niece, like bit her lip real bad to the point where she had to go into surgery.
Oh man.
And she's trying to come up with all these reasons why they need to keep the dog, and like she's trying to be like, well, I think maybe this thing happened.
How big is the dog?
He's just a half border collie. I think he's not very big, but he fucked up her lip pretty good. She's only like 3 years old, and me and my brother, whose daughter it is, and my dad are all like, yeah, I'd have fucking killed that thing. If I was right there when that happened, I'd have killed him. I'd have murdered that stupid dog immediately. And because I remember that happening when I had a little terrier and he bit my grandpa to the point where it drew blood. And I picked him up by the scruff and I threw him into the fucking laundry room. And my mom's explaining to everybody out there, he's just really sad because he thinks he might lose the dog. And I was like, no, I'm mad at this stupid piece of shit because he hurt my grandpa. I don't love this dog anymore. Fuck him. I love my grandpa. He hurt my grandpa. I'll kill him right now. And if I told Morgan, he's like, man, I'm glad it wasn't our dog. I was like, if it was our dog, she'd have a bullet in her head. Like I'd take her out back and shoot her in the head myself. It wouldn't even hesitate. Not that like there's no feeling at all in it. I might be said later, like, oh, I'm sorry I had to kill you, you stupid piece of shit, but you mauled my niece's face, so eat a dick.
So you're the Christy Nome meme, like you totally
oh yeah,
South
yeah,
Park nailed you. They drilled you down.
Absolutely. I didn't see the South Park thing.
You're just a puppy murderer. I think the whole thing was just trying to show that she's a puppy murderer.
Charles said another reason women shouldn't vote. In women's defense, my wife is totally on my side here, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I'd kill the fucking dog."
Well, one of the reasons I like Charlie, and then I wanted his little brother, is he was so unbelievably freaking docile. I never saw him bite anything. And one time we caught a hamster in a schoolyard. It must have been the school's hamster, and he just caught it and just cuddled it, like just put it around his paws and was just sitting there nuzzling it with his nose and stuff.
Oh, see, our cat, we found her. Like, we didn't adopt her, but we found her at an Airbnb off Bear Lake like 2 years ago. I don't remember, but she was just this runt that was running around on the farm close to where we were. And my kid chased her around. He was enamored with her immediately. And she was like, she killed like 3 mice that day, like in front of us. And we're like, yeah, fuck yeah, we want you now. You're our cat. So, I love it, but I don't care if they kill squirrels and shit like that. But if my cat like really fairly tried to hurt one of my kids, I'd kill it tonight.
Yeah, I'm sure it would have felt that way if I had a kid or something like that. But at the same time, too, I wouldn't have been. I had 2 asshole Jack Russell Terriers. Actually, they were pretty good with kids. Not pretty good. Like really good with kids. They were better with kids than they were with the adults. But I knew to keep them, like you knew to keep them away from stuff, to keep them away from the situation. Don't let them ever something where they might hurt something or get cornered by somebody who wouldn't.
My terrier was a good dog for the most part, but the second he actually tried to hurt my grandpa, I was ready to wring his stupid neck.
Yeah. Man, I got this TikTok. This one guy just came across like Elder Christofferson in TikTok, and he's like, there's the dude I hate, and there's the dude I can't stand. I'm gonna go confront him. And then he stopped and said, what am I doing? I'm quitting TikTok. He just like quit. He just said, I don't want to. I thought it was a pretty good TikTok, just in the sense he's like, this is just some tired old guy flying around in a suit, and I don't care anymore. I'm quitting TikTok, and he just completely quit TikTok.
Do you know my favorite Elder Christofferson moment was in ex-Mormonville. They started trying to demonize him for this talk that he gave, and the title of the talk is "Now Let Us Be Men," and the whole talk is about how his mom like she had some shoulder issue that made it just really, really painful for her to iron her clothes. And so his dad one day took his mom to this place with this new machine that could iron the clothes for you. And he bought it. And she was like mad at him, like, we can't afford this. We can't do this. And finally, after pushing and pushing and pushing, she found out that he had went without lunch for like 2 years and just pocketed the money and then purchased this machine for her with that money. It was a really cool story. And I remember ex-Mormons being like, why didn't he just iron the clothes for her?
Oh my
like,
gosh.
He's perpetuating the patriarchy, thinking that she should be the one ironing the clothes. What do you think? He sacrificed for the woman he loved. Eat a dick, you fucking love-hating asshats.
Yeah, well, yeah, I don't know what to say about stuff. What do you think about what this chick says right here? I don't even pick on like these chicks. I might almost feel like the same thing, but like there's just girls all over TikTok just saying stuff like this.
A lot of men in Utah actually like women. I think a lot of them see it as the next like step or like this trophy to acquire and to like put on the shelf. But when it comes to actually like loving a woman for who she is, I don't know.
Hey, how much of TikTok is just there for people to sit there and say that stuff?
What do I think about her?
Yeah.
She's wrong.
Yeah, that's just what I said. It's like, it's ridiculous. Like
it's a really simple thing. Like men like women.
Yeah. But they're just sitting there all day on TikTok, just saying stuff like that, like no further stuff or comment into the thing. Just it's on repeat. It's on repeat all day, every day.
You'll hear ex-Mormons complain a lot about the whole joke that the missionaries thought that the harder their mission was, the hotter their wife would be. Like they clearly see women as commodities. So I was like, okay, first off, that was a joke. But second, it was like they're working for a woman. These guys are out there putting themselves in stressful, difficult situations so that they find a beautiful woman. That means they like women. Just shut up. And that's me articulating the reasons for not having reasons. Eat a dick.
Yeah, that's how I said it. It's like, you're ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Yeah. And I had the same answer ultimately for Divas and like Maven. Like, you're ridiculous. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, there just shouldn't. We agree there shouldn't have to be laws to make that not happen. But you guys are insisting that just let it happen. Like, no, it's obvious that you should just be saying no to that. You
know, abortion?
No, their argument for trans people in women's sports.
Oh, yeah.
The abortion thing. I mean, too.
Don't make laws against cannibalism because just teach people not to cannibalize. Yeah. You're right, but you're half right. Teach people not to cannibalize. It's really not relevant for most people. Most people are going to be like, ew, yeah, of course I'm not going to do that. Ew. And the ones that want to do it anyway are not going to just listen to you when you say, don't eat people. Like, do you think that the only thing separating Jeffrey Dahmer from a normal person was that nobody ever told him, hey, don't be a cannibal. Hey, don't eat people. It's actually bad and gross. But, oh, Blue Meanie, I wonder what Maven thinks about trans women in female prisons. It's a very difficult one for the trans acceptance people to stomach, but I guarantee
Nigel Farage came out in favor of that.
In favor of trans women.
Nigel Farage is like swinging the whole other direction entirely because they say he's going to be the next prime minister, and now he's like saying he's for full immigration and you need to keep trans women in prisons and all that stuff.
Yeah. Well, I feel like Maven would experience a lot of cognitive dissonance if you asked her that, but she would eventually say that they are women, so I don't give a fuck. Isn't fucking about fucking me. It's fucking about fucking them. And so fucking they should be fucking put in the fucking women's fucking prison because they're fucking women. Fuck.
Yeah. It's so weird. Sargon was on with Michael Malice, and he's pointing out, and it's just totally true. I was just double checking it, that people freak out that this is turning into Nazism. We got Trump, Nazi, whatever. When it comes to abortion, we are by far like one of the most liberal, by far, if in
We're
certain
more liberal
areas.
than the UK.
Than France, like way more than France, like the crazy place where they basically
France.
Yeah.
Really? I didn't know
Yeah.
France. That's
France
insane.
France is 24 weeks.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Jesus. That's
You have to
insane.
have a court ruling for broader access.
France has toyed with the idea.
No.
of
14
legal-
weeks. I was reading. That's South Korea. France is 14 weeks.
France was toying with the idea of raping kids all the time.
Yeah.
Like legalized child rape. They're like, well, I don't know about abortion after 14 weeks.
Denmark 18 weeks. Sweden 18 weeks. Iceland 22 weeks. Netherlands. Yeah.
Jesus Christ, that's insane.
But we're in Handmaid's Tale now.
Yeah.
So
We're in Handmaid's Tale because you have to drive a couple hours to kill your baby now in some areas.
It's so unreal.
This is hell. Hey,
Everything
so-
like that, the things they gripe about, like I saw the stuff that they're cutting funding to schools, or they're cutting the EBT things. This is fascism. This is fascist state. This is fascism. Like, you guys are saying the fascism is not free money to do your thing freely at will. Like that's the fascism now. Like
You're telling us what we should do with our money. No, we're telling you what we should do with our money. Okay. I'm not against social safety nets. I'm very much for, if a family is on hard times, you getting some assistance from the rest of us to eat. That doesn't include Coke and Skittles.
Yeah.
And the fucking the EBT thing, or the Medicaid thing, where the normie liberal dude was telling me last time I was at work about how, oh yeah, they're trying to slash Medicaid. I was like, what do you mean by that? Like they're saying that you have to work 80 hours a month in order to qualify for Medicaid? That feels fair. And he's like, well, yeah, I mean, that's fair, but the other stuff isn't. What other?
I think it's funny to hear a confession out of him, because everything is just full fascism. Everything is like, oh, now I know who would have not killed Hitler, and I would have. Why?
Oh,
because they didn't let us have money for our DEI flute class in college. Like,
yeah, no, I was talking about that to, I don't remember exactly who it was. I thought it might have been Seth, but it might have been one of the other brain rot dipshits and lobsters when we were talking about the whole, what would you
narrowed it down to like 4.
I know. Maybe it's Scott. I don't know. But it's like what would you have done in Nazi Germany? Would you have stood up against the Nazis? And my answer to that was, I really hope so. I don't know that. I can't know that because I don't really, I've never had anything that difficult in my life that I've had to stand up to. And so I don't know, but I hope so. Oh man, I know you would not be against the Nazis, and I know that I would. Oh, that brings me back to that hilarious peep show thing, talking about the Spanish or the French Revolution, where Jeremy asks Mark, like, what would you have done during the French Inquisition? And Mark says, well, honestly, I guess I probably would have kept my head down. And Jeremy's like, you coward. I would have stood up against it. He's like, but they would have killed you. They would have killed your family, probably torturously. And he's like, I would have stood up against them. And Mark says, I love this line forever. Congratulations, you would have been a very brave man. I always say that to people anytime we have that discussion.
That's a good one. That's a good one. I like that one. You ever think about, though, like, one of the reasons like you weren't Nazi Germany or something like that is because actually your ancestors or your blood were the people who ran away from tyrannical things. So maybe I would have been like them and ran away from it, or the United States or something like that. But that's one of the things that jacked up Kanye, and he went around saying it, but he was like really thinking about it. He's like, why did we let them make us slaves for 400 years? Because like you can go look up, like there's this channel called like Torch or something that talks about the 1,000-year white slave trade in Islam, which was terrible. They did terrible things, and one of the reasons like those populations aren't around anymore is because they castrated or killed most of their babies and all that sort of stuff like that. But there is like another level of it too, that also some people didn't get slaved because they chose death over it. They ran away and got killed. You know, that's, and I sometimes would like, would you could have been a slave? I probably would have run away till I probably would have gotten killed. I probably wouldn't have been a slave very long. I would have gotten killed. I would have, and that messed like Kanye up, because Kanye was going around like, yeah, why didn't we just run away and get killed? That's what I would have done. You know, and I believe Kanye, he would have done that. You know what I mean? Kanye would have ran, you know.
I had a friend who was reading this. He's reading this biography of this Jew during the Holocaust who he was knowledgeable enough that he was useful to like Mengele and stuff like that. So he was able to like help them, and he was through some finagling able to save his daughter and stuff like that. Anyway, he was like, my friend who's reading was like, it was really weird. The guy who wrote the foreword to the book was kind of shitting on all of the Jews who were taken into the camps for not rising up and fighting back. I was like, that's wild.
So I've been listening to Huckleberry Finn when I walk Huckleberry Night, which I got to go run and do here pretty quick. Have you ever listened to that?
Oh yeah, it's is it the
Elijah Wood?
Yeah, is it the Elijah Wood one?
Yeah, I'm listening to it and like how easily like this guy could get canceled with it or something like that nowadays because it's got so many N-words. But I think it's even funnier this part where he's about to help N-word Jim get free because they went all the way up. And right before he's about to get free, he just gets overcome with guilt. Like, I feel so guilty. I'm letting this I'm letting the slave go. I'm not a proper man. I shouldn't be letting this guy go. He just feels really guilty. He still lets him do it at the end.
Oh, that was I've told you about it, I think, but the thing on my wall back there is my favorite passage from that book. Morgan got it on a canvas for me, where it's Huck like coming to terms with, like, he wrote up a note to Jim's owner, telling her that like where he was, because like he knew like he was going to go to hell if he helped this slave escape, and it was this crisis of conscience for him. And he eventually he tore up the paper, and he was like, all right, then I'll go to hell. And it's one of my favorite passages in any book ever. And
yeah, he thinks he's doing the wrong thing, so he did the right thing to do the wrong thing.
Yeah, he's going against what he thinks.
So it's like the opposite of like what those Nazi daydreamers are dreaming about. It's like, I guess I'm going to hell for the wrong thing, but I'm doing this. Yeah, that's like inverted idealism. Like you landed on the proper morality by accepting going to hell for something. That is wild. Yeah, that's cool.
Hey, so what should I expect for my mid-30s? Should I give me some advice, my elder? Because I'm an hour away from officially being in my
is it your birthday
in an hour? I'll be 34, and I can't say anymore that I'm in my early 30s because
you're not Jesus age. You beat Jesus, man.
You
say I beat Jesus.
Yeah, I beat Jesus. I'm going to be in my mid-30s, and it feels like I'm an old piece of shit now.
I do not remember 34. No, I'm just kidding. Well, I couldn't like tell you of a single thing that happened on a day that I'm for sure I was 34 on that day.
Yeah, I'm sure I can't. I can't tell you the thing that happened when I was 32. I'm joking.
You want to know what? I've honestly, for the 10 years, felt generally the same-ish. Is honestly what it feels like. What I will tell you is you're gonna blink and be 40, and that's the scary thing.
Well, I already blinked and I was 30. Yeah. I remember this woman I worked with. She's like 6 years older than me, I think, and You know the Menzingers at all?
No.
They're they're out of Philly. They're a pop punk band that I really like, and they're kind of aging, almost like a little bit before me. And when she turned 30, I played her the song where they sing, what are we gonna do now that our 30s are over, or that our 20s are over? She was really butthurt about it because people are weird about age.
I don't know. I didn't ever like get that sentimental about it, but
Yeah, I know, me neither.
I definitely. Well, they say that, you know, wisdom or good health is wasted on the youth or something like that. Or you get, I forget how the phrase goes, but 100% I figured out how to be healthier as I went along, and like anybody who does stops and I got in the best shapes of my life in those years, like late 30s. And you kind of go like, maybe it's because you have more muscle that sort of time or something like that. But you also go like, well, but also if I just wasn't an idiot at 22, I probably would have been in way better shape.
Yep.
You know? So it's probably just that, you know.
My good shape. I was in decent shape at 22, but that's just because I was lucky. I ate all of the dog shit and I didn't really work out, but I had a 6-pack. You know, just because I was in
pretty good shape. I just got like even better at it, like, you know, as the years went. But I don't know, man.
Yeah,
it's so funny because in my teenage years, I was 100%. I listened to the government, and the government answer was still the answer. My parents told me the answer. Supposed to eat all the carbs, don't stay away from the fats and the meats and eat all the carbs. I followed the diet hard, wrong.
You got to invert that pyramid.
But it's funny to think like you were like, I was voted in it was like a high school yearbook and a paper to be Brian Johnson, most likely to be 100, because everybody knew I was like psycho about like healthy eating already. But I was not healthy. I was doing a Huck Finn. I was doing the wrong direction. I was 100% psycho about the lie. I lived that.
The funniest part about my birthday is that I've had a few. It's only in ex-Mormon circles ever when I show my my username, because my birthday is August 8th, which is 8/8. So it's usually my username will be whatever name 88, and they'll be like, "Oh, are you saying Heil Hitler?" And I'll be like, "No, it's just my birthday is August 8th. So I like those numbers. I do 8/8," and they're like, "Likely story, Nazi."
Tell them I'm your Huckleberry, like Huckleberry Finn's back there, but you can say the Val Kilmer thing. I'm your Huckleberry, but then that turns you into Huckleberry Higdon. Huckleberry Higdon 88.
HH. Oh no! And eighth letter of the alphabet. Fuck.
I'm your Huckleberry Higdon 88. Oh, did we already look at that sort of thing? Somebody was pointing out. When you see it, you see it. And now somebody started like counting any sort of message on Twitter that had 14 words in it. And if there's 14 words in the Twitter, it must be a Nazi thing. And so people are just like randomly pulling up anything that had exactly 14 words and reading Hitlerism into it. But they were just innocuous like tweets that landed on that. And they were serious. Like it was Will Riley pointing out, finding these people who were seriously looking for Nazis by finding a 14-word tweet.
Oh Christ!
So I think you were one of them, Huckleberry Higdon.
Probably.
And they caught you, and they reeled you out. Your mask was off.
Mm-hmm. It also made me obsessed with palindromic numbers.
Well, I don't.
I was born in 1991, so that's the same forwards as backwards. So
yeah,
I
can't be obsessed with that stuff because my last name should have been that, and some people with my same last name do have that.
Should have been, yeah.
And
almost.
And it's only like because the ones with it are exactly as related to me, and they didn't do it because they just, I don't know, they were literary assholes. But I don't usually call my dogs after my last name, but I could call Huckleberry Hannah just because I'm trying to dog whistle. He is a dog and a dog.
You're gonna dog whistle a dog? Metaphorically.
I think he's like talking about sort of. I'm so far away from white supremacists, just in the sense of there's so many dumbass whiteys every day. Like, I can't tell you how often whiteys drive me crazier than anybody, and I just don't go. like it's so funny about like those people who like get so into, oh, my race, no matter what side it is. I'm like, how don't you just look at any idiot and say this is an idiot is being an idiot? You know.
I know that. Well, that was when the whole Carmelo Anthony thing came out. When there were some people who jumped onto like he was probably wrong for doing that, and no, he was definitely wrong for doing that. And I was like, okay, let's wait till more facts come out. I agree with you. He was probably wrong for doing that. But like, if we find out that they ganged up on him and were curb stomping him or whatever, then yeah, he was totally fine to stab that kid in the chest. Of course, it's difficult to say that because like he stabbed the kid in the chest and then the rest of the kids let him run away. Totally.
There's still supposedly video about that too.
It's a video, but it's like way far off.
Oh, you can see it? You've seen it?
No,
Oh.
you can't see it. They just let a select few people see it, and those people have described it. And it doesn't look like there's much of a commotion until like he stabs him and then runs away. And it's
kind of shocking to me that you can stab a heart that fast too. Like,
I think he kind of got lucky/unlucky
yeah,
with the stab, you know.
it's so wild. Stabbing sounds hard. I mean, I think about it like whenever I'm just cutting meat, and I'm like, this isn't easy. Like, how do you get?
But usually you fuck up your hand bad if you actually try to stab.
Because it slips and you slide up into it.
Yeah, and you're gripping it so strong that like your grip doesn't suddenly let up once.
Yeah, and so then it hits something, and then your hand slides into it like a.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Mike Judge's description of the guys trying to figure out if all the guys can do the boner stuff to each other. But anyway, I gotta walk Huckleberry before it's too late because he will go nuts.
Right.
So, well, happy birthday and whistle at all the dogs.
I'm gonna whistle dogs
tomorrow. This is always like the most basic thing. Like somebody says, "That's a dog whistle," and they say, "Oh, I thought only dogs can hear dog whistles." So if you heard it, you are the dog, right? Like you're the one who snuck it out. So are you telling me you are the 14 letters HH person? You are the dog. You heard the dog whistle.
You are the dog.
Anyway, I haven't heard dog whistle crap. No, I just did. People were just saying the Sweeney thing was a dog whistle. So never mind.
Oh yeah, Sydney Sweeney.
Yeah.
Oh God, what a stupid world. Ah, fuck.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right. Happy birthday,
dog.
Yep. Have fun with your last. Well, I mean, you could still sacrifice yourself for all of us for the next 40 minutes. I think that's how that works. So
oh yeah.
Maybe that's blasphemous, but
I don't.
33. All right. All right.
All right. We'll see.
Have a good one later.